the night and the Gemini crew. Ooh. Night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
Oh, the screen tree's busted.
Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Welcome to Mike in the Night. I got some good news, guys. I just broke a light bulb here, so you're going to see a crappy green screen for tonight. Unless I can get a hold of somebody that might have their phone on upstairs, which is very, very unlikely nowadays that anyone has their phone by them to pick it up. So let me know what you guys are up to right now. And I want to thank you all for joining us. And it is Independence Day. It is 4th of July weekend. And let's discuss. I wanted to do a proper intro here. Sorry, guys. This light bulb just broke as I did my intro song. Here it is, guys. Whee! Just broke. It had to fall over right at the beginning. I could have delayed the intro a little bit longer and find a light bulb. But oh well, that's how it is. Just gonna message the wife here. A light bulb. Usually, guys, I'm a lot more professional than this. This is just a one-man show, so it's kind of tough, getting this sorted out on your own, right? Anyways, guys, people of the night, welcome to Mike in the Night. Broadcasting from a secret location with a broken green screen, and wherever you're watching us, from your condo in the sky, your cabin in the woods, your camper in the woods, or you're just couch surfing on a friend's couch, kind of passing the days, if you want to say it, or let the time go by, or just relaxing on your lazy boy. Sit back, relax, get yourself a tea. I got my tea. You got your tea tonight, guys? I got my tea, my water, and you're tuned in to Mike in the Night. Okay, so I want to send a big shout out to the I-10 truckers. They keep messaging me. They're always listening to Mike in the Night or listening to Mike in the Night replays. I want to thank everyone from down under in Australia. There's a massive following from Australia. You go to my my AdSense or whatever you call it. Not my AdSense, sorry, my YouTube analytics. You go there. Just messaging my wife here. You go there and you could find the top countries that are watching my channel. In Australia, for the longest time, was first, moved to second, now third, now back to second. So I want to thank all my followers down in Australia for following the channel. Also, I want to thank Nelson Garcia. Says there's a big following in New Mexico, Mike. Don't think no one watches you. We got Lester in Warsaw, Poland, up in the AM hours watching Mike in the Night. Thank you, Lester in Warsaw, Poland, in the AM hours. So anyways, just letting my wife know that I'm live because she's calling me. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough running a one-man show, guys. It's just how it is, man. All right, guys. Today is 4th of July weekend, and I had this nice background here that looks like crap because my green screen's broken. Guys, it is 4th of July, and 4th of July, for you guys that don't know, it's also known as Independence Day, 4th of July. And it was, I think, a federal holiday since 1940, 41, 42. I think it was 41, 42. And brouhaha celebrations, Independence Day celebrations. And it goes back to the 18th century. But they are obviously celebrating on July 2nd, 1776. That's when the Continental Congress voted in favor of independence, and 2 days later, delegates from 13 or 12 other colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence as a historic document drafted by Thomas Jefferson. That guy was brilliant. Thomas Jefferson. Now, a lot of people don't know. Hold on, I got my light bulb. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, bye. Bye. All right, my kids brought the light bulb. Here it is. Hopefully we can get this thing sorted out. Ooh, it's an LED too. All right, let's plug this thing in. Let's see if this baby works here. Of course it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. All right, who's calling me? All right. Lord, I'll call you back in a second here. All right, guys. So basically, there it is there in a nutshell. And the most important signature on the Declaration of Independence is John Hancock. So when people say, can you put your John Hancock here? And again, it was from 1776 to present day. 4th of July has been celebrated as the birth of America, right? And anyone that signed that Declaration of Independence was basically committing high treason. Committing high treason is what they did when they signed that Declaration of Independence, so they could get independence from the British regime. Canada has never gotten the opportunity to be independent from England, unfortunately. And not really. We still have attorney like some, I don't know what they call them here. They're still in Canada, and they're still representing the Queen of England here in Canada. And there's quite a few of them, right? And that's kind of important. Very important that Americans stick to this and understand the importance of what it means. So let's go over to, there's my light bulb ain't working right now. Man, I should call the cops. Hey, what's the problem? My light bulb ain't working. Can you come and fix it? So I broke a light bulb right at the beginning of the show, like right when the intro started. And I love timing. It's good. You know what I'm saying? So here it is, guys. I got see, if I move, it just you can't move. You're gonna be like, sir. Oh, I move my mouth. See, I move my mouth, and the green screen goes nuts, goes mental. All right, we got the comments rolling already. Wow, this show. Sorry about this really crusty show. Sorry about this unprofessionalism, guys. I really am very sorry about this. Owen saying, trying to survive here in Brampton. Man, property tax is going up, eh? Woo! We should get, before it gets late, I wanted to get Owen on the show real quick. Also, we're going to get Eduardo on the show. He was down at up in Ottawa during that big protest there in Canada. A big Ottawa protest. So that is something we're going to get on. We're going to get him definitely on the show to find out what is happening. So let's go over here to... Let's go to article scan here real quick. So I wanted to bring this up. Watch young Americans totally ignorant of what 4th of July represents. And yeah, 4th of July, it means a lot. It's the birth or the birthday of America when the American, maybe you could say the elite, the aristocrats, the the top notch, or the El Chamones, the My Coronas, whatever you want to call them, basically got together to conspire against the British crown, and basically go ahead and gain independence. And then other colonies joined in forming what we have today as the United States of America. And they didn't leave their people blindsided. They actually created a constitution by the people for the people to actually be governed, to not be as governed as other tyrannical nations around the world. So young Americans typically ignorant on what 4th of July represents. So here it is. We asked what holiday commemorates and other details concerning the Declaration of Independence. Most of those interviewed had no clue. How did these people have all these people have more education than I do, and they could even read better than me? How do they not know this stuff? In a video produced by Campus Reform, young Americans displayed a complete lack of knowledge about the 4th of July holiday, instead blatant about how the country is racist. Wow. While some suggested that the U.S. gained independence after the Civil War, World War I, or even World War II, others complain about the real history of America isn't being taught in schools. Of course it's not. So I'm like, of course it's not. Like, they're not going to teach you real history in schools. That's not going to give you anything. They want to control you in schools. Okay, here's a liar from the Shire saying, still the best, Mike. Steve the Plumber says, was it your tax bill that went through the roof, Owen? And then Craig Cook says, nice. Craig Cook says, yeah, like I said, metal, bring your money. Man, the comments are going crazy. Lord Humungus says his neighborhood is off the hook. Yeah, 13 colonies of Britain. Yeah, it was 13 or 12. I couldn't remember, guys. I'm sorry. It's just, I got to brush up on my American history here. Watch one day if I tell you the side of the Portuguese history. You guys would be like, wait a minute. No, that doesn't make any sense, because then it collides with my history. And my history doesn't make sense then. Oh, yeah. There's a history from the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the English. The three big colonial powers. The French and all that were hundreds of years after. They were still picking up the pieces after the Napoleonic Wars. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get Eduardo quick on the show. He wants to go to bed, and he wants to wake up early, so we're going to get him on the show first, on here on Mike in the Night. I don't know why Lord Humungus keeps calling me. I'll call you back, buddy. I'm sorry. I have a few guys I need to bring on the show who are on the East Coast, and then I'll give you a call. All right, let's give him a call here. He's probably sleeping. Hello?
You want to be a dick?
Look who's being a dick.
You're
pissing me off.
Oh, I picked up a lot of swearing there. Oh, man, I hope that doesn't flag my video. Damn it. Damn it. I probably woke him up. But he told me to call him first caller on the show. I hope I didn't get him at a bad time. But he told me to call him first. He says, I know you start at 9. It's 11 o'clock my time. Try and call me before 11:20. And I hope I didn't get him at a bad time. Mike, keep the channel going, buddy. It's fun to watch. So we got Agent saying, Agent Kelly Adio, Australians have been allowed to withdraw from their 401k up to 20,000 total. Well, get your money out of there before it goes to nothing, right? People are asking, what was that? That was Eduardo. I was calling him. He told me to call him first. All right, let's get Lord Humungus on. He keeps calling me. I'm not sure why. And he's not going to answer. And he's not answering. Okay. All right. I'm gonna turn off the Skype right now. It's turning into a bad luck night, so I'm just gonna exit the Skype here. It's gonna just ruin the show. People, I call them back or schedule a call, and I get people at the wrong time. So, all right, let's get to some news here. All right, let's do a quick channel plug if you guys don't mind. David Xavier saying, call me. Okay, it's Lord Humungus again. Yo, Lord, what's up, man? You called me twice, and I tried calling you back. What's up, dude? Oh, it's celebration. Is that your firecrackers or your neighbors? All right, we got a shot of the sky here. We got a shot of the sky. Hey, don't you love it when you get the camera ready, nothing comes out?
You there?
Yeah, I'm right here, man.
Hold on.
Guys, this is Lord Humungus, just outside of Denver in the state of Colorado. The state of Denver outside of Colorado, sorry.
I can barely hear you.
Well, I could hear that. I could see that. The light's flashing off your face.
Yeah, we're taking fire, man. We're in it. We're in it deep. It started.
So, how do you feel? I don't know. I was just reading an article about a bunch of young Americans, educated college students, have no idea what the 4th of July is for.
Well, they're uneducated. They don't know.
Yeah, that's probably the best comeback right there for the night, buddy. Right there.
Mike, the neighborhood's going off, man. You hear it?
Yeah, I could see it and I could hear it right by your head. It is 4th of July, and we are discussing 4th of July weekend here on the show.
Right?
We totally
That's
are.
why I wanted to give you guys. Oh, there's a good one.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's burning up some real good stuff there.
Yeah, that's what 4th of July is all about, man, right there.
Totally
Freedom.
is, buddy. So what else do you got planned for this weekend?
Nothing. Just watching fireworks go off. Here's some good ones. This is
Nice.
all in the neighborhood. They told us that we can't let off. They're illegal, so that's what everybody does. But they tell us we can't do something, we light them off.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna tell Americans what to do. It's not that easy.
That's right. Sorry, it's so dark. I can't try to give you a good show here, but yeah, it's been going nonstop for like the last 5 hours, just everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thought I'd give the listeners something fun to look at. You know, it's better than watching it
Yeah, buddy.
on the Macy's whatever deal in New York.
Yeah. Are they gonna do a parade? No. Are they gonna do a parade or is there a parade?
Yeah, I think they canceled that, but President Trump was at Mount Rushmore doing a deal up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of fireworks going off all around me. That's pretty crazy.
That is.
It's like a war
They're
zone.
lighting up the sky on 4th of July. That's so
Right,
good, Lord.
Dave?
Yeah, we're playing phone tag there for a second.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom when you told me to call you back, man.
Woo!
Sorry.
All right, Lord. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
God bless.
Peace. God bless.
Guys, that is our man, Lord Humungus. We're playing phone tag tonight with everybody. I just feel bad about getting people at the wrong time. Oh, man. I feel bad for Eduardo. He told me to call him. So he sent me a video here. So let's take a look at the video. It looks like he got some video here at the big protest in Ottawa. And let's take a look at that protest in Ottawa, Canada here.
Give up this fight.
Oh, it's got music. Oh, it's going to catch it. It's going to catch it. Damn, it's got music in it. Damn. Okay, so it's got music in it. I can't play it because YouTube, because I've purposely went out, meditated, went out to steal this specific song so I could get an extra 2 people watching my channel because that song's in it. So Anyways,
I understand that you're building a nice $2.5 billion car factory in Mexico.
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 26 Gunter says, "Play it, Mike. It could just shut down my stream. That's the problem. I can't play it. It'll shut the stream down. Then I can't talk to you guys, right?" So we got Anthony Ruvalacaba in the house. We got Papa Piss Chicken Fingers here. And we got Tignim, Too Much Sunshine. Eduardo, stop being such a PP. And then 26 Gunter says, "Play it, Mike. Just mute the CC. I'm going to have to go through the back end of the audio mixer to do that, guys." Paranoid Mike. No, they're just going to cut the stream. They don't wait till the stream finishes and give me a strike. They'll cut the stream right off halfway. I don't want to cut the stream so early. I've been on for 21 minutes. And this has been a terrible mic in the night. I broke my light. The green screen's like I screwed up right in the intro. Damn, but that's okay. Let's get back to it, guys. We got a lot to cover here on tonight's show. Let's see what we got here. Let's go over some of this news here. So, Americans totally ignorant of what 4th of July means. I can't believe this, man. I can't believe this. That a lot of people don't understand the importance of what their country did and how it actually reshaped the rest of the world. Was the American Revolution a mistake? There was no British tyranny, and surely not in North America. Then what do you call taxation? So let's take a look at this. Was the American Revolution a mistake? Well, then, do you want to be like Australia, where you can't afford your own housing? Do you guys want to be like, do they want to be like Canada with socialized medicine, and then the doctors hide things from people? Like my dad had cancer, and in Ontario, they felt it wasn't worth telling him, so they just left it alone. And then we came to another province, and they found it immediately in a blood test, and they're like, this guy's been sick for ages. I don't know. This goes back to a term paper I wrote in graduate school. I was on colonial taxation in the British and North American colonies in 1775. Not counting local taxation, I discovered the total burden of the British imperial taxation was about 1% of the national income. It might have been as high as 2.5 in some southern colonies. In 2008, Alvin Rabushka's book of almost 1,000 pages appeared, Taxation in Colonial America. Princeton University Press, a press published in the Business History Review, summarizes the book's finding. So this is a little excerpt from the book. Rabushka's most original and impressive contributions in his measurement of tax rates and tax burdens. However, his estimate of the comparative transatlantic tax burdens may be a bit of a moving target. At one point, he concludes that in the period from 1764 to 1775, the nearly 2 million white colonists in America paid on the order of about 1% of the annual taxes lived on roughly 8.5 million residents of Britain. Or the 1 in 25th per capita terms, not making into account the higher average income and consumption in the colonies. So later, on page 729, he writes that on the eve of the revolution, the British tax burdens were 10 or more times heavier than those in the colonies, in page 867. Other scholars may want to refine the estimates based on other archival sources, different treatment of technical issues, such as the adjustment of the intercolonial and transatlantic comparison. I studied the transatlantic taxation, transatlantic comparison, and I studied the transatlantic leveraging and deleveraging of the colonies, and the financial studies of the financial imprint of America's of the taxation of New England, or the colonies, right? For exchange, the rates of new estimate of comparative income and wealth. Nonetheless, no one is likely to challenge his most important finding, the huge tax gap between the American periphery and the core of the British Empire. Was the Declaration of Independence built up on a lie? The colonists had a sweet deal in 1775. Great Britain was the second fiercest nation on earth. I think the Portuguese were up there, but don't worry, they never existed. Switzerland was probably the most free nation, but I would be hard-pressed to identify any other nation in 1775 that was ahead of Great Britain. You see, I can't believe how the Portuguese were 400 years already. In the 1500s, they were already in Brazil. They had factories in 1550, and they were already exporting gold and in the slave trade from Africa to Brazil and through the Indias and everything way before Britain had anything. And Britain had to use the Northern Passage because the Portuguese would blow them to smithereens if they went past the Cape or they went past the Azores. So, I see the history. See, I have a side of history that I know. I saw the Spanish side of history, and I studied the side of Spanish side of history, and I studied the Mexican Revolution. I studied all the different different generals of Mexico, and I visited their graves. General Zapata, General Morelos, General Pancho Villa. I've studied all the Zapatistas. I looked at all of the Mexican movements and all that in Latin America and this and that. There was so much more going on with the Spanish and Portuguese. The English were so far behind. They were drug dealing with the East Indian Trade Company. But why are they always front and center of the best? No. Jefferson wrote these words in the Declaration of Independence. The history of the present King of Great Britain in a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over the states. I think of no more misleading political assessment uttered by any leader in the history of the United States. No words having such great impact historically in this nation were less true. So they're saying it wasn't true, and that the taxation between so they're saying that the Boston Tea Party could have been a staged event. Wow. No political boogeyman invoked by any political secret as the liar of the century ever said anything as verifiable false as these words. The Continental Congress declared independence on July 2nd, 1776. I thought it was July 3rd. Huh. I guess I'm off. Some members signed the declaration on July 4th. Okay. The public in general believed that the leaders at the Continental Congress, they did not understand what they were about to give up. They could not see the price in blood and the treasure and debt they will soon pay, and they did not foresee the tax burden in the new nation after 1783. Wow, this is some really, really serious stuff. It goes really deep here. So could America have been founded on a lie? Well, you turn on the news, everything's a lie. I mean, you turn on the news, they're lying about everything. They're lying about everything. All right, where were we? All right, where's my mic in the night full? Where are you? No. There we go. So there it is, guys. Could have been founded on a lie. Okay, here we go. Sounded like you were in the fight, Lord. Yes, that's the Raven in the comments section there. We got the liar from the Shire says the British military was powerful. Diana Y says, thanks for liking my page. No problem, buddy. They're saying that Melbourne has a hard lockdown in social housing flats now. So, what if your life is a lie? Woo! All right, let's get somebody on the phone here. We got 26 Gunter. Let's see if he picks up the phone. From Wisconsin. Okay, so he's not picking up. He just messaged me. Call me. I want to come on the show. Okay, so I did do a show with you. I'm a bit bushed given the 4th. So Buddy seems like he's kind of out of it right now for 4th of July weekend. I'm bushed, Mike. Oh, sorry. All right, right back. Sorry. All right. So everybody's out for 4th of July if you're in the United States. Let's see if Rex Cohan picks up. He's probably not going to pick. Nobody's going to pick up the phone tonight. Watch. Watch. Nobody's picking up the phone tonight. That's okay. I see everybody in the comments, so let's see what's going on here on the comments. This show is a total bomb. I bombed this show right from the beginning when I broke my light. Hopefully I can turn this show around tonight. Sorry, guys, for such a really unprofessional, poorly thrown together show. I'm really sorry. I usually take my time. Okay, here he is calling back. Back and forth calls all night. Woo!
Hey, Mike.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good out here in Parksville.
All right, so we're here with Rex Cohan, and yeah. Okay, so tell us what's going on. 4th of July. Are you? Whoops! Someone else is calling now. Whee! This is a disastrous Mike in the Night. So tell me, what do you think of the 4th of July, and what do you think of all these Americans that have no idea what they interviewed a bunch of Americans, a couple of college Americans in the college scene, and they're just talking about racism.
Well, it's a very they've made the subject very complex, but I just want to break it down a little bit. See, I CNN reported today, or was it yesterday, when President Trump was at Mount Rushmore. CNN basically said that Trump's standing in front of 2 former slave owners, and he was talking in the CNN host was talking about George Washington, right?
Hold on a sec. Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
You watching CNN?
Well, no, I wasn't watching CNN. I seen the clip
on
Instagram.
Continue.
Yeah, and basically, you know, if it wasn't for George Washington, we wouldn't have America, right? Mm-hmm. And as a country is growing, you know, the next president, and so forth, sooner or later, we came to Abraham Lincoln, and he abolished slavery, right? The country's growing. Mm-hmm. So maybe, like, I don't know the facts. I'm just going on with what CNN has said. They said President George Washington was a slave owner. However,
but there's a historical lens to everything, brother.
Yeah. However, he did make America, and as the country grew, right, sooner or later, slavery was abolished by Abraham Lincoln, who's also on Mount Rushmore. Now, like, I think President Trump yesterday in the speech, he mentioned that it's very important that we know the history of the presidents, and maybe they had flaws. But we all have flaws. I have 100 flaws. I work on myself every day to just be a better person. I'm not perfect. I might say something that may be insensitive. And I'm open to educating myself. And I think just like a country is growing, you know, a human being grows too on a micro scale. Like as a country grows, like America, right? They might have done something wrong, but as they're growing, they're improving themselves. And just like people, just like you, just like me, you know, when we're children, we're born in God's image. As we grow, right, we're going to make mistakes. But we have to be open to learning and improving. And we're going to just try to better ourselves. No one's perfect. No country's perfect. But, you know, America is at the forefront of the free world. Without America helping the world, without America defending some core values that a lot of people in the world would like to adhere to, our whole world will be ruled by a globalist corporate fascist society where wages are low, there are no unions, there's minimal jobs, faith will be destroyed. So
Yeah.
we have to appreciate, obviously maybe the president's had flaws, but we do too. They're people. They're great people. They've done some great things, but they grew the country. And today, what's happening in America is very sensitive. You're having people. I seen people today on July 4th on clips on the internet. They're dancing on the American flag, and they're stomping on the American flag. And it's not. Yeah, it's really.
What if they obviously the country's divided, right? What if they just divided a part of the country and say, okay, we're going to run it the way we want to run it, type of thing, and then you guys go ahead and stay in your side of the, that's why they created borders, right? Borders were created to help, borders are created to divide people that have different differences, whether it's language, whether it's religion, whether it's culture. So this way there's no scrimmages or there's no clashing, right? So what if they carved out a piece of America and then just said, okay, this is going to be this, and we're just going to go independent, or we're going to leave the Union, or we're going to secede from the United States, and you guys could do whatever you want. We're going to do what we want on this side, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I think America, Canada, these countries are way too big to govern, in my opinion.
I think that's a little bit impractical to divide America.
I'm not saying to divide it in a bad way, but to make everyone shut up and be happy, you just create a more of conservative side, where if they build more factories, they produce more, people are different. So then the people that want to be green stay on the green side, and then people that, you know what I'm saying? Then this way, it stops the clashing.
But you got to look at it this way as well. Like, suppose you have the Republican states on one side, maybe, and maybe the Democrat states on the other side, and the country splits into those two factions. Then you got to remember communist China is going to throw money into the technocratic states,
right?
Most likely the Dem states. And that's going to infringe on the Republican side of the United States. So that's why that's a huge threat. And that would be even a threat to Canada, right? We don't want communist Chinese money flowing in here that's illegitimate. It's impacting everyone. So we have to be very careful, like how we want to talking about splitting. Like I prefer America, the way it is. I prefer America uniting.
Screw that.
There's too much money.
Let's get the Republic of Texas to make its own state again.
Yeah, there's just too much money coming in from overseas, like the globalists. And I've read some analysis where they're also comparing this kind of like what happened to Russia with the Bolsheviks.
Mm-hmm.
There's money coming into America from somewhere that's sponsoring a lot of this terror today. And even the corporate companies, they're sponsoring a lot of this terror today. Another point that I like to make is that the spokesman for Black Lives Matter, he talked about Palestine yesterday or today. He kind of slightly insulted Israel, and he was pro-Palestine. So now today, also a lot of corporate sponsors now are backing away, advocating for Black Lives Matter as well. Everything's kind of unhinged. So that's an important point because, they're becoming the political group, a political party now. And
they have a right to form a party if they want.
Yeah, well, that's right. But it's Black Lives Matter is, and I'm all for Black Lives Matter. And however, like the political opinions, like pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, that's kind of, don't you feel that's stepping out of the BLM movement now?
Yeah, it is. They're going to throw everything at that they could to leverage with the people to create more sympathy for creating more divide in the end.
Yeah, and we don't want division. I don't think if Hillary wasn't as a president, we would have already been at war with Russia.
And Iran.
You know how wars with Russia go.
And Iran.
We had Napoleon march into Russia. We had Hitler march into Russia, and they both got turned away.
And Alexander the Great, I think, failed at Russia.
Alexander the Great went into Central Asia towards India. That's the route he went. He didn't go into Russia.
Okay.
But
okay.
I'm just saying that it's very we don't want war with Russia, a superpower, right? We want peace.
Yeah,
and maybe
the average human the average guy that produces, that works, that goes out, raises his family, sends his kids to school, doesn't need all this extra chatter and extra stress and extra. What I'm saying? We don't need all this extra.
Yeah, I want to get to that point. So what's happening here is like each of our, like you, me, your callers, like we all have this physical body, but we have like a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Or hologram, whatever. And that's influenced by the environment, by our belief system, by spirituality. Now, when you introduce confusion and when you introduce disarray of information, when you introduce like media that's always showing, images of violence, images of protesting, sexual images, it impacts our soul at a higher level, which kind of impacts us as people. And you just made a point. We want to cut that out.
What actually threw me for a huge punch in the face? I made a video about this a few months back. A friend of mine sent me a link and says, "Look at all these young women basically selling their bodies." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Send me a link. Look at this. This is a local Vancouver site for a brothel, like a back page advertising, right? Online. Buddy sends me the link. I'm like, 20, 30 pages of young women selling their bodies. 30, 40 pages of 50, 60 women per page. I was floored when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. How many, how much we're changing towards this, I don't know. It's turning into a sin city in a way. Just, I don't even know. When I saw that, I almost cried.
Yeah, it's always been around. It's always been around since the dawn of civilization, going back to Babylon times in Iraq or ancient Egypt times. It's always been around, but now with the mainstream media pushing all this news, and this news is really confusing. It's disturbing a lot of people on this kind of earthly plane. And to free yourselves from all this, you got to just shut the news off. You got to meditate, believe in something, believe in a higher power, believe in your Christian faith, believe in Buddhism, believe in, if you're a Hindu, believe in Hinduism, believe in, if you're First Nations, believe in the creator, believe in something. Because if you don't believe in something, you're going to believe this confusion. And this confusion is basically coming at you from technology, Twitter, Facebook, Google, all that. And basically, your spirit's going to be tied with technology, which is going to confuse and throw you off.
Transhumanism. So just turn the news off. And one thing, I liked about Trump, he praised God. Mm-hmm.
I don't, if people out here, some of your callers might be atheist, some of them might be agnostic, but let's just look at that comment he made about praising God. Let's look at some of the greatest civilizations on the history of the planet. Let's go back to ancient Egypt. They believed in gods. Let's look at ancient Greece and Alexander the Great. They believed in Greek mythology, the gods, Zeus. Romans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we keep going down, even the Persian Empire,
Mm-hmm.
they believe in gods, right? But if you take away gods or your faith, and those gods, they gave people faith, basically. Kind of had the same meaning. They're different names. Like some of these gods, they had multiple names in different societies, but they kind of all mean the same thing. You're just praying for faith. You're connecting to a higher power, and that higher power is kind of directing you as a human being. Be nice to your neighbor, be kind to this person, do not steal, work hard, make a living, raise your children.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to connect to technology and this confusion, you ain't going to have children. You're going to be self-entitled.
That's the attack on the family.
Attack on the family. So they want to break down the family. And, President Trump doesn't want to do that. So some people out there might not like President Trump, but I like that point he made, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I might not be Christian, but I still believe in something,
Mm-hmm.
like a God of my understanding.
Right.
And we're free in North America to do that. Imagine if you lived in communist China, where I think it was Mao Zedong, he killed 70 million people. A lot of them were scholars and religious people that believed in something. Today, you can't believe in something. You can't practice your Falun Gong. You can't be a Buddhist. You got to just believe in the government system. And that's what these technocratic companies want to do with the rest of the populations here in North America. So please, everybody, avoid that. Please explore some kind of spirituality. Please explore a connection with faith. And
so we got Anthony Bardington in the comments says, I used to be an atheist. I became a Christian 4 years ago. Too much evidence supporting God. Atheist argument is weak. It totally is. I believe in creationism. I don't believe in this whole evolution and all this crap. There's just everything's just too perfect for it to evolve.
What's happening is in the educational system, and I went through this educational system. I went to university. I got couple of degrees and everything. And when I went through this educational system, I didn't believe in God either, right? I'm like, science, Darwinism, this and that. There's nothing about God here in North America in the school system.
Well, they got
right?
they got the prayer taken out, the morning prayer. They took out the prayer before. Some coach got fired because the students prayed before a football match, and he got fired a year or two ago. And
this is something that all humans should learn to pray. And, I know that most of the teaching comes from home, and this like 80% of the teachings for children, right? It comes from home, and the other 20% really comes from the school. Maybe even more comes from home. But, I remember I did try to go to Sunday school and I did try to go to a different religious school. I didn't do too well. I thought I was Mr. Know-it-all, science this, science that. But as I grew older in life, I couldn't rely on science or my mental capacity. It took me so far, and I struggled. And in order to get over that hump, I had to find a faith or God of my understanding. And today, I live a peaceful life because of that. I ask for forgiveness every night. I might not have done anything wrong today, but I always ask for forgiveness. If I look at my life, I am a sinner. I'm not perfect. And I'm sure the presidents aren't perfect. And I'm sure the people that make up Black Lives Matter aren't perfect. I'm sure the communist Chinese aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. Let's accept each other. Let's work together. Imperfection is beauty.
Yeah.
If we're all perfect, right, there's nothing to be attracted about this person or that person. But now imperfection, uniqueness makes us all beautiful. So it's just, I can't believe a lot of people are falling for this. And now I'm watching a lot of videos from the black people, and they're calling out BLM. They're like, hey, man, this is not right.
Well, a lot of them are woke, right? A lot of them are understanding, like, hey, I don't want to be,
this is not right. At first, everyone's like, oh, let's be quiet. Let's be quiet. Let's not talk about BLM. Now, today I watched 10 videos. They're on Instagram and Facebook, Instagram, and some of them got like 10,000 views in like in about 4 hours, and they're like, what happened in the chop zone? Two of our young black men died. One got severely injured. This is not right. You should see the father of the young boy that got murdered in the chop zone. He came on Fox News. President Trump called him. None of the Democrats called him. Everyone's talking about George Floyd. What about this young man? It's very everyone just all I say is stay smart, understand what's happening, believe in something, improve yourself. If you are confused, which I know a lot of people are, just turn off the radio, tune out.
Yeah. Lately I've been tuning out of a lot of the news because I don't watch. Sometimes I'm at my shop, and then sometimes the random YouTube thing starts playing CNN for no reason, like under its what it wants you to watch, and I'm watching it for 30 seconds, and I'm like, wow.
The actual worst of them all. Like President Obama went down to Mount Rushmore, I think in about 4 years ago, and they called it, wow, what a beautiful moment. Today, Trump goes up to Mount Rushmore, or yesterday he was at Mount Rushmore, and they're like, he's standing in front of 2 slave owners. They don't even call them the presidents. It's such
there has to be, they should be like, if they could create a parallel universe that what if like, those comic books we used to read when we were kids, what if Spider-Man had no powers, or what if Wolverine had Spider-Man's powers? You know what I'm saying? What if we could have a parallel universe and all the people, and then just so they could see what the world would be like today? A lot of people would right quick in a heartbeat change their thoughts.
I know, it's just, and if we go down anybody's genealogy, and yours, the Portuguese, my genealogy, your caller's genealogy, all our cultures, they led wars. Slavery was involved, raiding was involved, pillaging was involved. That's our past. My past, we were a tribe called the White Huns in Central Asia, in the Eurasian steppes, until the Hun went one way, and then we split. We went south. We went from like the southern Russian steppe lands into Tajikistan, Uzbekistan as the White Huns were, after the Indo-Greek kingdom fell in Afghanistan, we took those lands over. And there was slavery, there was war, there was pillaging, there was raiding. Everything was involved. And I don't, do I have to forgive my ancestors for doing all that? I don't know.
And that's the problem. When I lived in America
today, I am all those things, and I'm also.
Let me just say something real quick. When I was in America, a lot of kids would be learning about slavery before they learned their ABCs, and I don't understand, because this, like I say on the channel many times, this was their conflict. This is not our conflict today. This was their conflict 100, 200 years ago. 300 in some cultures, even 1,000 years ago.
My culture had a conflict with the Persians.
Yeah, but you don't. But it's not your conflict now.
We had the then while we were based in Afghanistan, we had a conflict with the Indians, which we lost. We finally lost to the Indians, and then we assimilated, right? And we kind of our religion, our faith changed a couple times from Zoroastrianism to Gandhar Buddhism. It changed a few more times. Then it changed to Sikhism, right? And it's like we've improved, or we grew, and but it's not something I have to apologize for, like what happened in 1,500 years ago. However, it's important to know that, and it's important to teach my children our own genealogy, our lineage. But I'm just saying that, does somebody, basically it's slightly political what's happening in the States for a political benefit. And the money that's donated does go to AccuBlue, which is a Democrat run profit organization that goes back to the Democrat that are running for Senate. So it's very tricky. So it's best to just probably turn off the news, respect everybody, believe in Black Lives Matter. They do. They've been, believe in the Indigenous community. I know sometimes the police, they pick up Indigenous people and they drop them off in the boonies, and some have to walk back in the cold. Some don't even make it back.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of atrocities. Let's improve that, but let's not bring lots of violence into.
Yeah, let's not bring more violence into the mix. Let's
yeah.
Let's live now for now, and and start being better people now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way we could go back and fix the past, right?
No. Maybe what, like let's improve ourselves now. That's the best thing you can say, Mike.
It was their fight. It was their quarrel. It was their raids. It was their pillaging. It was their wars, not ours.
Yeah, it's definitely not from my culture.
It's not ours.
It wasn't the Portuguese either.
The Portuguese were the first to abolish slavery.
I'm here to improve the world. You know what? This world is going to be inherited by my son and my daughter, your 2 daughters and your son. Mm-hmm. Let's improve it for them. Yeah. Let's everybody get together, right? Let's stop being narrow-minded. Let's improve the world. Mm-hmm. Let's improve the world and think about it practically. How far do you have to go back? Not in your life. We're talking about generational of your ancestors to apologize. Like, do you ask that question? Do you have to apologize when the Portuguese went around the world, or do you have to apologize when we were the white Huns, storming through?
The Portuguese actually never went with guns blazing. Portuguese didn't have a big population, so they wanted to bring they brought Christianity to big portions of Africa and Brazil and all these countries, but they were ludicrous. They would be crazy to think with their small population that they could go with guns blazing. The Portuguese went, and a lot of the slavery was volunteer in Angola. Like, believe it or not, you won't believe it. They went and said, "Hey, who wants to come with us to Brazil? There's gold there. How, you want to come or not?" And a lot of people weren't taken forcefully like you see in those images. They were brought across the Atlantic to Brazil, and a lot of them started working the gold mines but a lot of the Portuguese integrated with the natives, the locals, and that's why all of Brazil today speaks Portuguese.
What are some of your what are people saying in your comments about us talking right now?
I don't know. It's going by too fast.
Okay. But another issue that I have is this whole cancel culture.
Okay.
Like, we've talked very respectfully of the current events. Mm-hmm. You haven't said nothing offensive. I haven't said nothing offensive. But so what? One of us actually made a mistake. Like, suppose we were talking and we made, we accidentally had a thought, mm-hmm. and kind of relayed that communication. The cancel culture will come after you to shut you down or shut me down. Mm-hmm. Right? Remember, we got to go back. Mistakes happen. We want to learn from it. Don't cancel anybody out, right? But this cancel culture, what they're doing is they're going around and they're intimidating people. They're trying to shut people's mouth. They're trying to destroy their life. Destroy their life. If you destroy somebody, that's really war. Because in war, when you're in war, you want to destroy the enemy. Mm-hmm. So this is another kind of warfare. Think about it. If I said something wrong, or you said something wrong, or one of the callers said something wrong, they want to destroy your life, this cancel culture. They want to take your job away. They want to embarrass you. They want to
call you, you know what I'm saying? So I get more offended if someone calls me a toaster or a towel than a racist. People can call me a racist. It doesn't even mean that word gets deflected. It means zero now.
When somebody wants to take something away from you and it's your livelihood, that's war. So people are watching Mike in the Night. Make no mistake about it. We are in a war. It's a soft war right now. And if this soft war does not achieve the objectives that the attackers want, it will soon turn to a hot war. So that's the reality of what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Rex, I'm going to let you go. We've been talking for half an hour. And
Yeah, hope I some value.
yeah, oh, you did. You always do. You always do.
Okay.
But make sure you keep your Skype ready to go. Like, make sure you have it so it's set. So this way, when I call, you know that I called, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
All right. You. God bless you. You have a good. You have a good day today, and we'll do a good evening, a good night, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Yeah, by the Pacific Ocean here, so just enjoying. Okay, have a good night.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Oh, we got another caller here. Hello, Eduardo.
Mike, sorry I missed you earlier.
Yes, we caught a bunch of swearing earlier, so we had to hang up the phone.
Little crisis.
That's okay.
Anyways, it's all good now. Yeah, about that video. That video that we're gonna show, that I sent you was from today in Toronto. As you know, they've had the anti-COVID-19, anti-vaxxers, anti-5Gs. They've all been coming to Queen's Park for well over 2 months now, every Saturday from 12 till 3 in Toronto. And Black Lives Matter was having a protest. And I think a lot of people have clued in that they're being sponsored or coached by Antifa and their ilk. And they're playing the victim card. And, you know, why should we be responsible for 400 years of what happened 400 years ago? Like, really?
But it's not. But again, it's not us that did this. You know, they're putting blame on something that happened. Even if it happened, let's say it happened 10 years before we were born. How are we? We weren't indoctrinated into anything. We weren't put into schooling, into train ourselves to hate something purposely. We never did. We you know, we were raised. I think we were all raised properly. I don't see me going out and hating a certain culture or picking on somebody because of the color of their skin or their creed or their nationality. I don't get it.
It's psychological warfare. We've been in it now for 40 years, I'd say, if not longer. They just inch it in. The boiling frog, you just bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
But
so what do we got? What do we got right now? We got people that are this white guilt thing. There's a lot of that going around. That's been taught in the schools. There's the black guilt thing. There's
you know what the funny thing is? They fired some guy. In a construction worker. A guy was a welder, really good welder, and they fired him because he had some tattoos that were inappropriate and they looked racist. Okay, so they fired him, and then he went back, sued the company, and you know what they found out after? His wife was black. So it's like what the hell?
People jump to conclusions. What can I say? And they know that. What we're in right now is the biggest psyop, and it's being played on the entire world. It's COVID-19. It's the flu, but they've rebranded it. Look how it's affecting our rights. They're taking our rights away. If you walk into a hospital and you refuse to wear a mask, they won't serve you. They'll kick you out. On my way to Ottawa last Tuesday, I would not get served at a Tim Hortons off the highway because I refused to wear a mask.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right?
Okay, and what happened in Ottawa?
Ottawa was awesome. Okay, now if you listen to mainstream media, there's only a couple hundred protesters, right?
Oh yeah, like in Brazil. I don't know if you remember that big gathering 2 years ago in Brazil where there was roughly 800,000 people on the streets, and the news media is saying there was 13 people out there.
Yeah. Well, you know it's fake news. There was at least 3,500 people at the Hill at the high point, I would say, approximately, and Ottawa police are reporting in the area where there's close to 10,000 people because there's several events going on at the same time. Norman Travesty led a march down to the U.S. consulate where he handed in literally encyclopedias of damning evidence on Trudeau and many other politicians about the SNC-Lavalin scandal, about court scandals, of political scandals, all kinds of scandalous material, because USMCA kicked in July 1st, and there's Clause 27, which is, well, guys, look it up.
USMCA might be a calling for Canada to fix our problem.
Well, it's written that way. Now, does it have teeth? We'll find out shortly, won't we?
Oh yeah, I really hope this goes through. That's probably why Canada was dragging its feet to fix this problem, eh? Or to sign this. To sign this.
Maybe we don't know all the details because we know the Liberals, they lie like hell.
Well, they lie about everything. They lie about what they had for breakfast. They lie about like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, hey, is that a Makita drill over by that Makita drill there beside over your shoulder there?
It's actually a Makita electric impact gun.
Oh, a Makita electric impact gun. Yeah, I know you're in an undisclosed location. You don't want I know you're in the bunker room that's got no signal to the outside world, so no one could track you at where you're at.
It doesn't matter. Antifa knows where I live. Police know where I live.
I wanted to ask you, did anyone recognize you?
Yeah, actually, one of the mid-level Antifa guys came right up to the truck, trailer, and scissor lift that I brought out. Because we did not pull a permit, we did not expect to actually get on the hill, and once they found out we were fully geared to do it on the street, they actually started to bend a bit. They opened the washrooms for us, the public washrooms, which were supposed to be closed. Because Canada Day was supposed to be virtual in Ottawa, right? Nothing going on. And that's what the media was reporting. Nothing was going on.
Yeah, the media was reporting it. Just like I said, in other countries, they say there's only 6 people on the street and there's nothing going on. And then you go to other people with their cell phone footage, like 800,000 people.
Yep. They're getting nervous, Mike. This world Marxism, it's starting to crack. You know, people are starting to wake up to it. You know, more and more people are kind of saying, what's going on here? And I got to do a big call out for Amazing Polly, if anyone follows her. And if you don't, go check her out. Last Wednesday, Canada Day, she did an amazing video that describes what's going on right now. And she has the term, and it's considered, she's considered psychological, psychological warfare, basically. Terrorism, psychological terrorism. She breaks it down. It's a good hour video. Everybody needs to see this. This video needs to go viral.
Do you know her?
Down. No, I just watched some of her stuff. I know a lot of people.
Get her on Mike in the Night.
She kind of does her own thing, you know.
All right. I do my own thing, but I get people on all the time.
No, she picks through the news. She digs down. People give her intel. She'll dig into it, verify it. So whenever she's giving you something that's actually rock solid. Like she was breaking stuff like the Nexium scandal, the ties to the Canadians, the Bronfmans. She finds a lot of stuff that you don't see on mainstream media that should be on mainstream media, but you know, propaganda's paid for, so you don't bite the hand that feeds you. If you're a propagandist, or I think they call themselves journalists. Yes, that's the term they like to use. But they are propagandists, basically.
Of course. Well, anybody that goes out and creates any true journalism and uncovers and the watchdog for the local people and someone that actually is there for the people to make sure we are being looked after, those people are gone. They lose their jobs. They're not allowed to publish pieces. I even had a guy email me. I even read the story on my channel on a video I did. He's a journalist. He's got a degree. He did the whole 9 yards, and he thought he was going to go out and take and bring down the world and bring in justice and blah blah blah. And then when he started doing it, he started to get some good stuff, and they just kept turning him down, left, right, and center.
Well, look what they did to Kevin J. Johnson, a personal friend of mine. He is a personal friend of mine nowadays. I've helped him out a lot, and look how they've deplatformed him. They put him through the court system. He did 6 weeks in Supermax, the Ontario provincial jail.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not hard time just because he speaks of the truth, and they always bend the rules. There is an agenda. They can't have free-thinking people out there. It just does not work with the Marxist revolution that we're in right now, and we don't even know it. These people are good. Don't kid yourself. They're very good. They've turned many countries, and Canada's being we're being turned right now as far as we're concerned. A lot of people still love Trudeau, though, eh?
Oh,
You know,
Trudeau. Yeah.
you know, it's disgusting, but we've been taught this. Look at what they're teaching kids in school. They don't teach them cursive writing,
Yeah.
but they're teaching them about feelings. They don't teach civics, but they tell you all kinds of weird courses going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, what are they destroying? It's common core values, Christian values, things that we've been taught as kids, like me and you, because we're both born Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went to church. That's all being destroyed. They want to take away the church.
Family.
And taking apart family is a big part of it, because you got to get the state to control the family. And this is what Marxism is all about. It's the state controls the people, not the other way around. Whereas democracies, the government is supposed to work for the people
and fear the people.
And yeah, that's a big one. It's the other way around now, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, people are now the government has people have jobs, and they're in fear of losing their jobs, so people don't speak up anymore.
Yep. And times are getting tough, and this is how they do it. They hit you in the pocketbook. They raise your taxes. They brainwash your kids. It's happening now. My own mom, she left a communist country, and she says, why are you going to Ottawa? I says, Mom, I'm going to a protest. She says, what are you protesting? This is basically a lot of things, but essentially I'm protesting the communist control of what's happening in Canada. And she says, there's communists in Ottawa? I says, Mom, it's full of them. Full of them.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at the policies, and it's so soft, and it's done so coercively. And they always spin it so it sounds good and smells nice and tastes good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're heading into dark days.
Yeah, I'm concerned. What can I say? I'm concerned. You know, I got 3 kids I'm leaving on this earth, and I'm really concerned about who, what, when, where, like what happens. Like, do we end up having to create or carving out a piece of territory for ourselves? Like, what do we do? Like, how does this work? Like, what happens? You know what I'm saying?
Well, from what I see, Albertans seem to be a lot more freedom-loving than the rest of Canada. They seem to be a lot more independent. There's a lot more personal responsibility in Alberta, so I can see Alberta being the first to leave. This is taking off like crazy, and a lot of people are driving from out west here to Ottawa, and they think they're going to save us, but you know what? Personally, I think we're too far gone here in Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario's is, yeah. It's pretty bad.
And they're sowing the seeds of division. And that goes back to remember the 400 March, which happened today. They came up, they had their tunes going, they had a big PA system, they cranked it, they drowned us out, these people that were speaking at the anti-COVID rally, and there's no media at the anti-COVID rally. It's been going on now for 2 months.
Oh, the media's not going to go there because it's going to trump, this will trump everything that they've been telling us about it.
Yeah, and it's counter to the Marxist revolution propaganda that they got to keep pumping and hammering it into your head every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it, but remember the 400? It's just another Marxist organization. They're playing the victim card. They want money. And some people will do very well, like the leaders of these groups. They'll probably get some nice salaries if they can pull this off and get enough following. As long as they're pushing the narrative that the Marxists want, that are in control in Canada, they'll probably eventually get the funding from Soros or some other NGO that's tied to him.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be government funding, because they'll probably use multiculturalism or...
Dude, our government, we have... a lot of people don't know that Canada has state-run media. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, all the media is state-run.
Yeah, because they got the media got like 3 bailouts in the last 2 years. From the most recent one was $600 million 10 months ago.
Well, that's why I keep saying it's propaganda. If you believe what you're reading on TV, you're so misled.
How come they keep closing off the comments on the CBC and Canadian Broadcast Radio on YouTube? The comments are always taken off every time your friend JT is up talking from his cottage.
Why? Because probably a lot of people are waking up and they're mad as hell.
But why did they why would they shut the comments down? It makes no sense.
You can't be a free-thinking person, Mike. You gotta follow the narrative.
Yeah.
right? You can't counter or put in have a discussion. They're selling you a bill of goods, which is cultural Marxism, and that's how they're going to control us. The few that are in public service will do very well. The rest of us are going to be eating scraps out of waste bins, basically, in a few years. It'll be like Venezuela. That's what's going down. That's how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The people high up in the Venezuelan government, they're not suffering. They're not eating their neighbors' dogs. I bet you they're eating filet mignon every night. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's all about power and control, my friend. So what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are the listeners going to do about it? We're going to start talking about this freely and not live in fear and say, well, politically correct. What's correct about being politically correct? All that's correct about it is you're a freaking Marxist. I got pissed off
started with
about
conspiracy theorism down in 1963, November 22nd. It started with conspiracy theories, and then it spun out to conspiracy theorists. Then it became to tinfoil in the 80s. And then now it's political correctness in the 2000s.
Well, political correctness, I think, got started in the 80s, because I remember getting corrected many times when in my younger days.
No, it was in the 2000s. In the 90s and 80s, you still had a little bit. You could still criticize other religions. You could still criticize anything you wanted back in those days.
Well, what's wrong with criticizing something? It's not like
you can't now. The only thing you can criticize is Christianity. That's the only thing you're allowed to criticize.
And if you think the root of democracy is actually based in Christianity.
Yeah, the founding fathers, all these countries in the West, from Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, all the way up to the North Pole, they're all basically founded on the same principles, the Ten Commandments.
And it's worked pretty well for us as a society. And now they're getting rid of that because the government's going to be the authority. And that's what communism is. The government controls everything. They control what you think. They control what you say. You either toe the line, you'll do okay. And if you're countering to that, they're going to lock you up.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, people. But you know what? That was the old communism. They didn't do that right. We're going to do it better.
We're going to do a better form of communism that's going to fail in 35 years instead of... Well, how long? Russia was 80 years? 90 years before it fell?
Yep, it lasted a long time.
And the Chinese, 100 years?
Well, no, didn't it really pick up after the Second World War?
It did, but they've already had a lot of things in place too. I don't know. Communist Party of China is supposed to turn 100 years old this year, I think.
Well, China is a republic, believe it or not.
Like Dominican Republic?
Something? Like the Republic of the United States is a republic?
Well, I know what you mean. People's Republic of China.
Yeah. They actually have a constitution, which is more than we can say we have here in Canada.
Yeah.
What we have is a document that was written by government officials and handed down to us. They call it a constitutional act. Not a real constitution. It wasn't written by the people for the people. No.
Same thing with Australia and New Zealand and the United Kingdom.
Yep. Australia did write a constitution. I don't know what the exact details were. But, many countries have constitutions. We do not. We were supposed to write one upon Queen Victoria's death in 1901. Never happened. Never happened. And remember, I don't know if you remember that July 1st used to be Dominion Day.
Yes, it was.
Well, in 1982, that all changed because the Corporation of Canada, which is the government of Canada, incorporated in England, Admiralty law, and we call this a country, but it actually is just a corporation of the Canadian government.
Yeah.
So it's not, we don't really live in a country per se, depending on whose definition you use of what a country is. But that's what they're trying to sell us, right? And the government's all powerful, and we the people have to fear the government, and that's why police crack down on us, and that's why you get visited by CSIS if you're speaking counter to the Marxist narrative, which has been infiltrated. You've got Marxist NGOs writing all these papers.
And our bio warfare labs and all that stuff. our medical labs and all that stuff, and engineering and all that stuff. And man, we sold out everything. We sold out our energy. We're selling out our energy companies. We sold out our biggest coal mine. We sold out two of our big gold mines. We sold everything. We just sold everything to the highest bidder.
Don't forget, we got Chinese drilling for oils in the St. Lawrence.
Oh, God bless America.
Seriously, we've got Chinese drilling for oil in the St. Lawrence.
Yep. Well, it's better, I guess, because the Canadians don't want the oil, so we'll give it to let China take it, right?
Well, no, we buy terrorist oil so that Paul Martin's ships can keep shipping the stuff from Saudi Arabia or Middle East to Canada, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they couldn't finish the pipeline.
Oh, we're going somewhere here.
And Paul Martin is tied into the Rosiers, that billionaire family. Mm-hmm. And Trudeau's part of it, I'm sure. I know for a fact Mulrooney was part of that. Mm-hmm. Chrétien definitely part of it. Trudeau definitely part of it.
Yeah, one thing Mulrooney did, at least he balanced the books. At least Mulrooney balanced the books, at least.
Yeah, but the SOB also signed us into this globalist agenda.
Yeah. And it started with Meech Lake.
I did vote for him, and I apologize, Canada.
Oh, my God.
I did not know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of things we don't know. And that's why shows like this are great.
Woo! Mike in the night.
All right, Mikey. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, get out of the closet, buddy.
Any questions about what happened in Ottawa, or?
Well, you know, I saw you said that how many people showed up? 33. How many?
On the Hill, minimum of 3,000, minimum at the high point.
And then the news was saying 9 people.
That was probably 10 o'clock at night when everyone was gone.
Yeah, they usually do that. They go when everybody's gone, or they show footage from a week before when there was nobody there.
Yeah, and the last of the Patriots actually went through with garbage bags and picked up every last little bit of litter.
Really? So they came out and cleaned up after themselves?
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
It is good.
Well,
it's our country. We should take care of it.
Well, fight the good fight. That's what it is. We're fighting the good fight. We're trying to set the example and be, just be right with each other, right?
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of speakers. We had Christian preachers there. Bill Watcott from Calgary. He's the guy that got arrested for feeding the homeless.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you catch him? A lot of good, solid speakers were speaking. Maxime Bernier actually did a bit. Kevin J. Johnson announced his mayoral candidacy or his mayoral run for mayor of Calgary.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know who Kevin J. Johnson is. Freedom Report.
Yeah, I know who he is from Freedom Report. I know exactly who he is.
So he's counting on the conservative vote showing up this time and beating down Nenshi, and he's going to call him out on a lot of his crap. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and he's not one to take things lightly. He knows how great this country once was. Mm-hmm. And being a mayor is actually a pretty good position. You can do a lot as a mayor.
Yeah.
Can't solve all the problems, but he can change a lot of things. He can improve things a lot. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And he's fired up. He's healed himself, and he really wants to push for it. And there's just so many great speakers. It was just an awesome event. Go check it out. There's lots of videos on YouTube. Right. Noble Savages, Facts versus Feelings was recording it.
I saw a Rebel
What's
News
Up Canada. There. Say again?
Rebel News was there?
Yeah, I saw Menzies there, yep.
Yeah.
I didn't see their coverage, so I don't know what it was like.
Okay.
But the speeches started around 10 a.m. and they didn't end until like 5.
That's good. So it just went right through. That's good. Right through.
Yeah, brutally hot weather. It was 31, 32 degrees. Crazy hot. Okay, Mike, thanks for having me on.
All right, Eduardo, you take care. God bless you. We'll talk soon.
Any questions in the chat?
Oh, you gotta have to go back. I've been looking at you the whole time.
We got to pay attention to the chat because there's a lot of great comments in there.
Yeah.
And the caller before me, awesome. Great stuff, guys.
He broke it down nice and slow, kind of told us what's coming from his heart.
Yep. Anyways,
right.
Thanks, Mike. Have
God
a good
bless.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, that is our man, Eduardo. He is in a secured, unknown location. Unknown location. Where were we here? Article scan. There we go. Sorry, guys. My show got disrupted earlier. Okay, we got Sean Liemerman calling in right now. Sean, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not much. Just got back from the Okanagan.
Good, good. How are you? How are things?
A lot better. Feel a bit more refreshed and questioning why anybody would ever want to live in a city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you left this. You want to leave the city life behind. You want to do what basically I did 4 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't even think it was ever for me. You know, I didn't know what I was missing, and I don't think it's in my lineage to, you know, be cooped up and stack and pack. So I've been looking for a place past 5 days. Stayed at a few hotels. You know, I did go to Kamloops. I think you suggested I check out Kamloops, but after I got to Vernon, it was like, oh man, I can't leave this place. So
you like Vernon?
Oh, it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. So much to do, you know, like you get a little bit of like a rural feel, but then, you know, if you want to go shopping, you could do that and go to restaurants and stuff. So it was a good change from the typical doom and gloom. So I just wanted to address like a few things regarding democracy and, you know, the T-Pain, Trump, and all that. Regarding like the whole God thing, the thing is we don't know whose God he's worshiping. So, you know, that leaves kind of a question, because he's, you know, he's Jesuit trained. He's one of the elite class people, and, you know, the whole right-left false paradigm, and that's what it is. It's a false paradigm. I see a bunch of Trump supporters blindly following Trump. And don't get me wrong, I would have voted for him in 2016 if I was American. And I see, you know, the Democrats, the left wing goes without saying. Anybody right of J.K. Rowling is alt-right, right-wing, extreme right. You know, so basically the majority of people are extreme right. But on the Trump side of things, you know, I look at a lot of the policies he's put out and a lot of the things that he said that people just kind of overlook. So I just want to address a couple of those things.
Sure,
one of
go
them,
ahead.
So one of them being is he was pro red flag law. He was, you know, against due process. He was like, take the guns, you know, and due process later, right? And that's not very patriotic and Republican. But then you look, you know, the big red flag for me is the USMC. The USMC is, if you look at Chapter 24, there's a few articles in there that are in accordance to UN Sustainable Development Goals. So people, you know, if you're a Trump supporter, I suggest, you know, recommend reading this, because it's totally what the UN wants, and in accordance to that, you know, it looks like sort of a Trojan horse here. And then in Chapter 23, I believe there is a deal for migration, that there be no limitation to migration. And that is, Chapter 23. I totally lost which article that is. At some point I can post it, but yeah, like it's TPP Article 15.5 of, actually it's Chapter 15. It says no party shall adopt or maintain a measure that imposes a limitation on the total number of natural persons that may be employed in a particular financial service sector, financial institution, cross-border service supplier may employ. And it goes on. Like, I don't want to go, you know, too deep into the yawn fest, but I would suggest people read the USMCA and judge for themselves without right or left rose-colored sort of glasses. And in regards to the whole belief in God, I mean, it depends on which God you believe in, right? And what your scriptures, you know, say what is right, what is wrong. You because a completely corrupt and evil person would say, being kind, like would think that what they're doing is right, like they would think that they're a good person, that they're doing what's best for humanity. And also in regards to democracy. Okay, so democracy is not mutually exclusive to communism, right? Like they're not opposites of each other, right? So democracy, you have this problem of the tyranny of the masses. So if you end up with this two wolves and one sheep deciding on who to have for dinner, as the saying goes. And if you look at communists speak, Vladimir Lenin said that we social democrats always stand for democracy, not in the name of capitalism, but in the name of clearing the path for our movement, which clearing is impossible without the development of capitalism.
Right.
So basically, and you see the same sort of language manipulation with like the Bernie Sanders crowd. You know how they consider themselves social democrats.
They're socialists.
Yeah, they're socialists. They're rebranding themselves because they know that the word communism is a dirty word and the word socialism is a dirty word in America, and most Americans would not buy it. They don't want socialism. It's a dirty word for them. So the U.S. is not a full-on democracy. It does have elements of democracy, but with checks and balances. So the U.S. is a constitutional republic, right? It's not a full-out democracy. Democracy is turned into this buzzword that sounds really nice and fair and great, but it's just another one of those get your foot in the door so we can really shaft you kind of policies. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, and also in regards to the whole push for the trans agenda, and why that is so prevalent nowadays, and why there's a court. I don't know if you heard of this case where this father, his daughter was wanted to transition, but she was I think she was 13 or 14 years old, and he said, I don't care if you're an adult, but I don't consent to this at your age. And next thing you know, he had a tribunal, he had a gag order on him. This is in British Columbia. He had a gag order. People were trying to report on it, and they weren't allowed to report. And this is the roundabout way to circumvent our common law justice system, and instead in place tribunals and closed courts and basically non-transparent authoritarian sort of Machiavellian style system.
Okay, hold on, I just got some breaking news coming out right now. Actually, it was posted exactly 4 minutes ago. Kanye West announces he's running for president.
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye. Oh, sorry, Kane. I can't read. Kanye West announces. I don't even know who he is, but he's running for president. It looks like he's an artist and a producer and a record label executive and fashion designer. All right, continue.
Okay, yeah. Important news. Who didn't see that coming, by the way? But yeah, so like this whole trans thing is there's this is sort of part of the occultic, New World Order kind of, sounds so cliche to say it, but that's really what it is. It's part of the sort of agenda, because the reason I say like the Trump and God thing, like the God that these people worship is a manifestation of like Osiris or Baphomet or, all
Horus.
these. Yeah, Horus. And it's very Kabbalistic. So in the Kabbalah, it's believed that Abraham's son Isaac had basically the soul or the spirit of a woman, but he was born a man. And so there's in certain Hebrew texts there's more than I think 5 or 6 genders and all this stuff. So a lot of this stuff is not, again, I said it before, is not anything new. This is old sun worshipping Saturnian cult belief systems, Kabbalistic, whatever, rebranded as new. And part of this is this, transhumanism, which, to decode transhumanism for people, that means anti-human. So they've been raising us for generations to be disgusted by being a human being. Humans are feeble, they're weak. They age, they get gross, they're dirty, they're disgusting. And to make you disgusted with, being a human being, being God's creation.
Well, you see, the thing is, I don't know. It's very hard to turn me. I'm not disgusted. I'm great. I'm happy. I'm so happy to be alive, and I'm so vibrant. And you met me in person.
Well, yeah, and because partly because that's partly the Christian influence is because you're God's creation, right? Well, if you don't believe in a God and you don't believe that you're made in His image, then you may not have that same view perspective. So, they'd get you very early, and they convince you that you're imperfect and just so flawed irreparably. And wouldn't it be nice to have, I don't know, a biomechanical arm, or a 50-50 vision? They sell you this idea that you can be better, you could be a superhuman, but really it's just pulling you further and further apart from your humanity, and being comfortable, literally being comfortable in your own skin. So this transgender agenda is something that's being pushed on kids. It's not something that they're even asking for. It's something that teachers are, trying to push on kids. Counselors are trying to push on kids. Psychologists, bioethicists, these sorts of people, these experts, so-called. These experts, by the way, who haven't been doing a very good job at, getting the facts straight. And we're expected to be trusting them with our lives and their guinea pig vaccines.
No, these guys, a lot of these people, unfortunately, a lot of the professionals, I've lost faith in a ton of professionals a long time ago, time ago, when I see that, like, the incompetence in so many of them is absolutely phenomenal. Maybe I'm getting, the older I get, the cynical I get. And maybe that's just it. But you know what? The more incompetence I see in I just don't know. I just start turning more to the Bible, maybe start turning more towards what they don't want me to read and what they don't want me to.
I think that's called wisdom, Mike. I think that's called wisdom. The older that you get, the more cynical. Well, I mean, that's because you've had life experiences, and it used to be where, if you're in a tribe, you would look up to your elders because they had life experience to share. They had wisdom to offer, and they still do, by the way. It's just the younger generation see them as senile, stick him in a home, he's crazy, he doesn't have anything to offer, and why does this guy keep going on in life, if he's not, it's miserable to be old. And again, that fits into the transhumanism,
transhumanism is dangerous, man. I have an article I'm going to read in a few minutes when we get off. When you get off, I'm gonna have an article I'm gonna read that's posted today, and it's
CRISPR just had a big failure. Like everybody's all gung ho about CRISPR, but they're not as far along in that as people think they are. But yeah, it's just to make people an abomination, essentially, and to remove your spirit, your soul, and like, it's not just my generation. I'm a millennial, and I happen to be 33, which is kind of a weird age to be if you with a Freemason and all that in 2020. But it's not just my generation that has been indoctrinated. It's also the baby boomer generation, because the baby boomer generations are, sending their kids to these indoctrination camps, concentration camps, i.e. schools, government-run schools, which also have a predatorial issue, but you never hear about it about public schools. You always hear it in private schools, but it happens, in fact, more frequently in public school.
Right.
In my school, there were two guys I could have pointed out, two teachers I could have pointed out that had extremely inappropriate behavior. And when you're sending your kid to a public school, you're sending him into a zoo. Your kids will have to deal with this products of bad parenting, right? Parents who beat the crap out of their kids, and then they go to school and they sense a lack of parental bond that other kids have with their parents, and they prey on those kids. I know that because I've experienced that. And then people, all these excuses come out. It's like, oh, well, you got to know how the real life works. Well, I'm sorry. Is the real life works if I walk up to some stranger on the street in the real world, do I get to punch that person if I don't like what they have to say?
Well, there's a person in my town that gives me the finger and tells me off and threatens me every time he sees me.
Yeah.
And when I go to the police, they say he's forming an opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? He's free to form an opinion. That's the real world. But if he goes to punch you, that's a different story, right? If he punches you, then that becomes an issue, right? Because he's aggressing, he's using force, unwanted force against you. You're not consenting to him punching you.
Right.
You're not getting in a boxing ring, right?
Right.
So. I mean, it sucks he's a jerk, but I bet you nobody likes this guy. I bet he's not a very friendly person. And you get to go back home to your family and enjoy your dinner and enjoy your life. And I bet you this person is probably not, probably
no,
doesn't.
I could tell you a few stories, but we'll talk in person,
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's, I'm just trying to be, because like I notice like some people call in and like it feels like sometimes like we're running in circles, with some of the topics, and it just like feels like a hamster wheel sometimes. So I'm doing my best to sort of, like if people see on the people watching the show, they'll see cracks in the matrix, and I just want to point out, what is it about those cracks in the matrix? Like why are they there? What are they, what's really going on, with all these agendas and this push for a technocracy? And these global elite people, they don't, if you have a democratic system, they'll use that against you. If you have a capitalist system, they'll use that. If you have a communist, same thing, they'll use it against you. They do not care. They are corporatists. They've, like I said before, they've always kind of been in charge throughout the generations. And, I think people should stop looking at each other and fighting with each other, because that's the whole point. That's what they've always done. And, start calling out the IMF. Right? Call out Trump for signing off hundreds of billions of freaking dollars of your money, Americans that are watching, and actually the world, because global reserve currency, the rest of the world's suffers just like everybody else is going to. Mm-hmm. And call out the behavior. If you voted for Trump, you should be more critical than the people that didn't vote for Trump. You should be, say, hey, I voted for you, and you're doing these things that are actually more socialist than Obama, right? He's, Obama didn't sign hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars.
But Obama did get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, and then started blowing people up, and And like that's a joke prize anyway. That's for the elites to kind of have a ha ha at people. It's like, hey, I'm peaceful. Hey, like it's just a dog and pony show. But people got to get out of the false left right paradigm. Stop counting on. Like I like Amazing Polly and all, but don't expect her to do all the work, right? If you want to know what's going on, you got to do your own research. Mm-hmm. And take a little bit of time, because it's your it's your kid's future, right, if not yours. And unfortunately, like we have the baby boomer generation who laid a lot at the feet of the millennial generation. I know there's kind of generational crisscross, Generation X or whatever, but generally speaking, because like they lived off the productivity of their parents.
Right.
The millennials, though, don't kid yourselves. You're just as selfish and entitled as the baby boomers are. And now that we're all adults, as millennials, you got to take responsibility and care about the world. It's just that, you have a bunch of people in my generation, particularly, they don't see a value of a two-parent household. In fact, a lot of them don't even like kids. They don't like kids, and they think that having kids, get this, they think that having kids is selfish. And it's like, okay, so let me get this straight. You don't have kids, you play video games all day, you do whatever you want on your time, and you think it's selfish compared to having kids, having to raise and pay for these kids, having to invest in these kids, right? And put some effort in and think of somebody other than yourself. That's more selfish, right? And like, we can talk about logic and facts and stuff all we want, but this generation, these college indoctrinated people, they're taught to believe that facts don't matter. When they say facts don't feelings over facts, they mean it, because that's how postmodernism works. Everything's subjective.
So if I feel today is a Wednesday, but today is Saturday, but I'm feeling it's a Wednesday, and if no one agrees with me, they're hurting my feelings. Like, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't like, it's full of contradictions, right? There's a lot of doublethink instilled in the education system, and these people are the problem is, if you can't have a dialogue, these people don't want a dialogue, by the way. If you can't have a dialogue, then you use your fists, because you can't use your words. You got to use your fists.
It's like
right?
those losers from Antifa, because they don't even know what they want. So
Yeah.
they're just going around punching people.
Yeah, gated community. But here's the thing. About the psychology about with Antifa and BLM. And by the way, I just want to digress a little bit and say that BLM, the translation for that in reality is actually Bolshevik-led movement. Bolshevik-led movement, right? It's not about Black lives. I mean, I get their logic. Like, when they say, okay, when you say all lives matter and they get pissed off at you, because their logic is, I'll give you an example. When there's a house fire in your neighborhood, right? You don't call the fire department for the whole neighborhood, right? You're not, you focus on the house that's on fire.
Right.
Well, but the problem with that is, if BLM really cared, then they would actually focus on the house instead of trying to put out the house that's not burning, or the house that is burning. They're showing up to the neighborhood and trying to put out a fire that's not even there. There's no fire there, right? Because if you really looked at the stats, I don't want to get you demonetized, but if you look at the stats, it's not exactly what it appears. The B on, let's say, B on B crime is a big issue. Single parenthood is a big issue, and it's a father's job to take that for boys. Take that male aggression and channel it to something that's more productive and constructive and meaningful. It turns men into creators rather than destroyers. But if you take that away and you have a single mom, she's working, she's not, her kid's kind of going crazy, right? You're not channeling that. There's nobody there to channel that in a more constructive, better direction. So you get a generation with no future, a lot of debt, a lot of rage, and a lot of blame, resentment towards society for doing this to them from their perspective. And you have a powder keg of a bunch of people that don't care what the result, if the world burns, as long as they get to burn the world. So we have an entire generation of these people, and like I said, I watched this BLM tearing down a statue of an abolitionist,
right?
And there is this black gentleman there asking this lady that's yelling at him, who paid for the statue, and she just kept yelling at him, and she wouldn't listen to him, and he said, who paid for it? And then she walks away in anger and stuff. Well, it was emancipated slaves who paid for that statue.
That's right.
You
Yes.
know, and but here's the thing, like, how can you reason with people like that? How can you reason with people that are, you know, pointing a gun at your freaking car, or you know, jumping in front of your car, and like, you want to get out?
There's no this. Yeah, but you know, I usually shut the conversation down with the whole North and South thing when I tell people that the North held slaves 9 years longer than the South. And if you do go back to very deep archival history, you will find that out. And you know who told me this? When I was in Mississippi, I met a black gentleman on the street with a rebel flag, a rebel Southern flag. Mm-hmm. And he was dressed in a rebel uniform. He was well dressed with pressed clothing. And he was down in the downtown in the downtown core area, and he was waving the flag around, and he was educating young children and families how the war was not about. This guy was old. This guy was in his 70s, and he was saying the war was not about. It was more about the banking, and it was different. It was not about slavery. It was about other things that were going on at the time that were basically all CNN'd. Everything got CNN'd.
Emancipation was a byproduct of it. It wasn't the central reasoning behind the revolution, and there were, you know, people neglect to realize that there are a lot of whites that were had indentured servitude as well.
Yes,
you know, it was more class based. And if I remember correctly, I think one of if not the first, one of the first slave owners was black in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but here's they revised history. That's 70-year-old, and this is why they want to cut you off from the older generations, mm-hmm. right? Because they want to change the history books. They want you to get pissed off and divide your family apart, and that way they have more controls over you. And when the 2 callers ago said, "Oh, you know, you have 80% over your children, and the school has 20." I'd actually flip that, you know, because you're spending chances are both parents are working. They're not going to have the time nor the energy to have these discussions with their kids. The school's got your kids for, you know, at least 6 hours in a day, and you know, they're constantly at it. And they're constantly pounding it into your kid over and over. So unless you're super attentive parents that are paying attention to what your kid's learning, you know, a lot of that's going to slip through the cracks. And you're going to have, as a parent, you think it's easier putting your kids in school for you to take the load off? No, I'm afraid not. You know, because you're actually creating problems for yourself in the long run, because your kids are going to end up resenting you. Because of all the indoctrination. They're trying to turn your kids against you, especially in universities, and the indoctrination of the generation before them. Well, not the generation before, but the baby boomer generation is this mantra of, you got to go to school. Even though I didn't go to school, you got to go to school to be anything in your life. You got to go to college.
That's all hill dog propaganda. That was during the Clinton 1 administration and Clinton 2 administration. That was basically selling the you need, and then Hillary Clinton was going to Costco's in the toilet paper areas, telling people how important it is to get a degree, and pushing that so they could so they federalized the student loans so they could adjust interest, and a broken man in a casino in Las Vegas could file for bankruptcy and start over, but a person that took a student loan can't.
Oh yeah, and if everybody did get a jubilee on student loans, you know, the country would be completely SOL. You know, it's just that the amount of student loan debt is so incredible that
it's helping the economy. It's a good a good portion of its GDP.
Yeah, it is, but it's also a great mechanism for enslaving your kids in debt. You know, my mom told me even, you know, like, oh, go get a student loan, right? You know, like it's pretty. They got people really hooked onto that one, but you know, like I said, you know, it's not just the millennial and generation Z or Z. I prefer to say Z because like A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y and Z. you know. So I don't know, maybe it's just to be different than the Americans, but yeah, like I just the generational propaganda, you know, don't think that you're just because you're not a millennial that you're not buying this crap either. Somebody said it was like Malcolm X that said this, but I'm pretty sure it was Edward Bernays. Said that nobody believes anything until they hear it on TV. Right? And
Yeah.
and you know what? I can talk to my family, some of my family members, all I want, and you know, even though I've been right in the past, they'll still, you know, watch the news and believe that over me.
That's scary. It's so scary,
It is.
and that's why we don't have cable in our house. And
Yeah.
you know they're gonna start giving like you know they're gonna start doing like the Obama phone thing in Canada from what I heard, when they roll out the 5G and get people to agree with it. They're actually gonna start giving out free government-owned phones to people that don't have them. And I heard they're actually gonna provide free cable with the announcements, daily announcements from our great leaders
Oh, great. So your property tax will go up another couple $100
a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
month.
And so, you know, like it and people, you know, you got to ask yourself, you know, if you've you know said anything in support of Trump. And I'm not saying don't, you know, he's done some beneficial things, but he's done some, you know, not so great things. He's broken a few promises, and I'm not talking about the wall because he's been, you know, he's been trying to get the wall done, but that's kind of superficial because the US, like I said before, with the USMC. But think about, you know, how worth it is to have your, you know, your family torn apart, you know, because of this. For like, is it worth it? Was just like ask yourself, was it worth it to vote for Trump? You know, given that really not a whole lot has been accomplished. And the thing that bugs me the most is he won the election by and large because of social media. And then the people that got him elected, that support him and rooted for him on social media, are now getting shafted. Now he's done a little bit, you know, to with the censorship, but in all honesty, he should have been doing this in 2016 when he got elected.
Yeah.
You know, he really turned his back on the people that, you know, garnered his support through you know, YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you know. So, you know, alt media is pretty much the only thing, like, because if you're in the middle, you know, you're gonna get squeezed out. I mean, you have freaking Jenna Marbles, you know, preemptively apologizing for, you know, getting too tanned one time, you know, and it looked like, you know, blackface, but it really, you know, it's ridiculous. And she's one of the corporate people too, you know. She's very what do you call it, like artificial. You know, she's not, and the reason people went on YouTube in the first place was because it was kind of, you know, it was on the fringe, because it was edgelordville, you know, and also nobody wants to see the polished CNN kind of crap with the nice
their green
set and all
screening was
that.
worse than mine.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the Tesla or the SpaceX NASA rocket with the mouse crawling around on that. I think Layla brought that up a while ago, which, you know, it's just incredible, you know. This is but in regards to like solutions for this stuff, right? Like I think focus on solutions, like, because being afraid and being paranoid about the future too, that's addictive as well, and it's no better than being, you know, than taking the blue pill, so to speak. You know, so I think it's just important to just, you know, be aware what's going on. Don't be totally out of the dark, but, you know, don't get caught up in that cycle of fear, because that's bad for your health too. You get anxiety, and you know, it doesn't go away if you just keep, you know, oh my God, this is happening, that's happening. You know, just, you know, focus on what you could do for your life. You know things are going to get rough, so, you know, get prepared. You know, I say this every time I call in, but, you know, get your house in order, get prepared, maybe consider leaving the city, and learning a few self-sustaining things, learn some skills that would be sort of beneficial. Like you don't have to know it all. You know, you don't have to be a farmer, blacksmith, and I don't know, Luther. You know, you could be one of those. You could have skills in one of those things, and chances are, if you're in the right community, somebody else will have a different skill, and you can work things out that way. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow. I think this is going to be just a gradual decay and decline. You know, so there is. I think people always have a little bit more time than they think they do. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I remember last week too, regarding the UN thing. Like, I don't think the UN is going to come into Canada or anything like that, but because they don't like, they wouldn't need to. I think the RCMP is severely compromised.
Yeah.
And like people have no even the Canadian military is severely compromised. I think Dan Dix was talking about this commander who commanded a military base, an Air Force base, and he got in 2010 he was charged with pretty grotesque crimes. And this is a guy that like flew around the Queen and
Yeah, I heard
prime
about I
ministers.
heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know these crazy people, you know, they're in key positions in our government, and I think I think that these people are trying to turn the RCMP into sort of a SS type of nationalized. Well, they already are a nationalized police force, but a compromise, a subverted sort of police force that is a bit more. You know, let's say, I guess, communist in nature. But then there's also the people that they on the ground, right? I don't even like to I don't like to use the word Karen, because it just kind of implies like one particular demographic of person. And there's a lot of housewives and stuff out there that aren't like that. So I just see it as kind of,
I understand.
Yeah,
We understand.
yeah.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like, you know, there's other versions too, but you know, I won't get into that crap. It's not important. You know, what's important is, you know, spread informed consent. So, you know, allow, like, you know, your job isn't to say keep bugging people. Like, if they don't believe you, they're never going to believe you, right? And like to try to convince people out of their delusions is, you know, they have to discover that for themselves. So let them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so, or like you say, like you can't talk a crazy person out of their crazy. So like all you got to do is maybe, you know, bring it up, let people know, give people the option of informed consent, so at least that they have a choice and they're not subjected to the manufactured consent, then go along with all this crap, because people really do like have to. Well, it's in everybody's
crafty language.
Yeah, or newspeak or whatever, you know.
Crafty jargon, or I'm smarter than you. You better listen to what I have to say because I'm using big words language.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I prefer your typical idiot over an educated idiot, because the educated idiot is just there's no way you can convince these people, and unfortunately, that's why they lowered the bar in university and colleges. Because
everybody gets
a prize,
gets
a ribbon,
a trophy now.
Yeah, which is, and that's terrible, because you don't know where you stand. You know, if everybody's telling you you're a great baseball player when you're a kid, and you just don't have the don't have the physiology or the physique to do it, and then, you know, they're cheating you out of a happy life, and you're going to resent those people because, you know, you could be doing something else that you're really good at, but you haven't discovered that because people have been telling you you're great at something else. That's a great way to rob a kid of their future, you know,
right.
and stare them astray. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.
All right. We'll leave it at that. And we'll have you on again soon. I appreciate your input from every angle, from every angle possible. I really appreciate your time and coming in and giving us this down to earth look at things. And come and see me when you can, eh?
Yeah, I will. Hopefully, the sooner the better. So I'm supposed to be there. Hopefully I'm supposed to move in August 1st. So we'll see. On the way, I'll probably show up and pay you a visit. So
Perfect. Thank you so much.
all right, take care, Mike.
Take
Love
care.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That is my man, Sean Liemerman. He is leaving the big city, and he is going to a smaller town. And I think he's going to Vernon, for what he said. So we're going to get him on and ask on trends in the housing market one time to find out what's going on. And a lot of people are asking me to bring on the guy that's property tax went up $300 a month. No problem. Guys, I got to do a channel plug here. It's been 2 hours straight here, guys. So let's go to article scan. Sorry about the green screening, guys. Joining us, I broke my bulb. I was just livid earlier in the show, but a lot of you guys had helped me wind me down a bit. Thank you so much, guys. That's why we're all here together. We are that Cessna plane flying to the Florida coast, below radar, but not too low to hit obstacles and objects on the ground. But we're just low enough that they really don't care about us. They know we're here, but they don't care about us. And we're that Cessna plane here on Mike in the Night. That Cessna plane that's just below radar, but high enough not to hit anything, and just coming in for a landing in an uncharted airstrip somewhere. Anyways, guys, please don't forget to set your reminders here for the Mikes in the Nights coming up. I did this today for you guys, so if you guys could go in. Here it is, the Mike in the Nights. We're going to have tonight's American Dream. Happy 4th of July to everybody. We discussed 4th of July at the beginning of the show. And we got Lord Humungus in. We were playing phone tag for a while there. And then we got Trends in the Housing Market, the Flip-Flop Agents on the next Wednesday. Don't forget, next Saturday, Mike in the Night. You want to tune into this one. You Run for Cover So Discreet. That's going to be a good one. And then we got Mike in the Night after... Keep Track of Visions in My Eyes. That is scheduled for the 18th of July. And the 25th of July, we're going to have Mike in the Nights All Along. I Was Never in Doubt. And a couple of cool shows coming up. And then the last one here, Mike in the Nights, She'll Lay You on the Throne. You want to join into that. Lots of old shows that we have here, and they're great. I'm going to start running a Mike in the Night 24-hour-a-thon thing when I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to leave it running 24 hours, playing all these great shows that you can just pop in whenever, pop out, pop in, be people chatting. I think I'm going to start doing just a 24-hour Mike in the Night thing, playing random episodes just there on the channel, and you guys could tune in whenever you feel like. The channel is going down big time when it comes to viewership. I keep getting a lot of this. I'll show you guys here. I'm getting a lot of this stuff here, just so you guys know. This channel violations. And then I go to the channel violation and there's nothing there. So they're having, I don't know what it is or why they're doing this, but I don't know. I'm not gaining any subscribers. I'm losing subscribers. So the channel's downhill, and I'm used to the channel being downhill the whole time. There's nothing I could do to fix that, unfortunately. It's beyond my control. So don't forget to sign up and set your reminders. Go against everybody by setting your reminders here to these shows. And don't forget to buy something on Teespring if you guys want. Some pretty cool stuff here. We got a Supreme Cannon mug. We got Lord Humungus mug. All kinds of cool stuff to pick up. I'm going to put... a couple of new ones out there, a couple of new mugs and t-shirts out there. Guys, if you want to follow me on Facebook, I guess this is my company page. I spoke to Facebook again if they could verify my page, and or if they can't, at least put me as a public figure. I have close to almost 120,000 people who like this page, and unfortunately, they are not allowing me to be a public figure. They say I have to be a company, so I'm closed right now. Yeah, I'm closed right now. So that's Facebook for you guys and their tyranny, and the people with 3,000 fans get verified because they went against they said something against Christianity, so they get automatically verified. And then, guys, here we go, and here's my Instagram. You could message me here. I get a lot of messages. I'm going to leave a link here if you guys want to be part, if you guys just want to send me a link to an article or something. I do look into them. Given the time, yeah, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough, guys. You know, I got 3 kids, raising a family, and you know, I want to make, because this is a hobby for me. I like doing this. I like being with you guys. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that you're building a nice $2.5 billion car factory in Mexico.
Yeah.
The Mexican government.
Yep. All right, let's get our man Teno in Seattle on the show real quick, because he's in Seattle, and I want to wish him a happy 4th of July. I hope he didn't fall asleep.
What's up, man?
Hola, buenas tardes, felicidades, ¿cómo estás?
Enjoying 4th of July.
Yep. Feliz 4 de julio.
We're having all these fireworks flying off everywhere, so...
Good. So can you see the fireworks where you are?
Nah, we went inside the house, but we could see them from our outside window. Let me see if I can even see it. Well, they stopped flying around. You could just hear it around just throughout the whole neighborhood.
Good. So what happened to Chop? You go by Chop, or you pass by Chop, or what's it called? That stupid animal farm they set up there. What was it called? Chop?
I think it was first it was Chaz, and now Chop, and I don't know what they call it now.
Okay, but you said they were dismantling it when you drove by?
Oh, yeah. So they dismantled. They woke up early in the morning. They removed all the barricades. They quit really quick, really sneaky. And then they realized, they're like, holy shit, you know, they woke up, and wherever the remainder people were there, they just started putting like sofas, you know, trash, you know, whatever they could conjure up. And that was the day before yesterday. Yesterday they got a little bit more people trying to, I guess, retake back Chop, but you know, reclamarlo. Pobre yeah, it is. But yeah, they failed, and they did more arrests, and I don't know if you heard that one in the news about those 2 ladies that got ran over by protesting in the highway.
Oh, really? They just decided to go on the major freeway. Was it I-5? I-5?
Yeah, right in downtown. Well, they how do you call it, the SPD, Seattle PD, they've been closing the highway every day because they keep track of people that are doing protests. So they just kind of let them do their thing. They're there for an hour or two. They get tired out, and then they move out. But this time there was a certain individual. He was driving a Jaguar. And just plowed right into him. And and I know there's a video that shows it. That they plow right.
So I guess the guy is having his latte, driving his Jaguar, and he's like up down I-5, and boom, just hit somebody on the middle of the street.
Oh yeah, no. Well, see that, and I can understand why he did that. Because they had 3 cars. The protesters put 3 cars across that highway. And of course the driver, you know, first of all, he went around through the barricades of that the police set up, because they knew there were protesters there, so they didn't want nobody go in there. And so he took an exit ramp, like reverse. So he went coming from there, and he went speeding through the highway. And then realized there were 3 cars in front of him, and he just swerved to the right. Mm-hmm. And he had no chance. He hit the brakes, but by the time it was too late. He hit all these protesters.
Wow.
And so, you know,
what were these guys protesting? Save the whales?
Yeah, you know, they're probably the same thing. Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
You know?
Let me ask you. Déjame preguntarte algo. Let me ask you something. I just got word here that Kanye West is running for president.
Kanye West?
Yeah, I don't know who he is. Who is this guy?
He's the second coming of Jesus right there.
Really?
Kanye West. Nah, you know who Kanye West is.
Isn't he like he does rap music, right?
Yeah, he's the rapper. He's the one that got married with a Kardashian.
I don't even know who these people are. I know of that guy who was in the Olympics in the early 1980, 81.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know those guys. I don't know who this guy. I really don't know who this man is. I really don't. I don't know who this man is.
The same mentality as our president at the moment.
No, I really.
Sad to say, it's-
Is he a politician? Like, is he? Like,
no,
huh?
he's just a rapper. He's
Well, I don't
just
know
a
'cause
rapper.
he's a rapper. I listen to rap music, but I listen to NWA and Public Enemy and KRS-One.
Yeah. No, he's done some good music back in his time, but he is he's that's what he was known for, just for rapping. And like I say, he got married with a celebrity, and yeah, just it's just a whole shit show, with that guy and with whoever, that Kardashian that he's married to. If you ever go type his name and look for interviews, he's done some talking nonsense, crazy nonsense.
Okay, fair enough. So let me ask you something. Is this guy presidential material?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he does qualify for the job.
Okay. That's what I want to say, because you're in America, you're an American, so I the best person to ask is someone living in the lower, 50 or the lower states, below Canada, the lower 48, to ask if he's presidential material. I don't even know who this guy. I mean, I heard of him, but again, guys, I'm not tuned into this whole Kardashian and Kanye West and these people. I don't care. These guys don't pay my bills. And I don't pay their bills. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, that's. I don't know. Like I said, you're gonna see a whole bunch of candidates coming out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
And
if Madaga ran for president or something, I know Madaga because I grew up in the 80s, right? And that's what was on television, because we didn't have the freedom of going outside the television, because that's all we had for media, right? So anyway, so let me so we are in an election year in the United States, and it's affecting the whole friggin' planet. So let me ask you, Covey, do you know anyone that has it there in Seattle or in your? Or, is this thing for real? Like, what's going on in your area? What do you think?
It's for real. It's just it's not hitting. It's let's just say this: that if it hits a person, and it does from who was it? Like one of our coworkers, not for in our location, but like and throughout the company, got infected with COVID. And it pretty much shut down that where they're operating, because it scares the shit out of a lot of people. That's the thing,
Yeah, I think there's more scare involved, because I told you guys many times, I think we've had it up here in Canada way back in December, right? And the Pentagon, your Pentagon was warning our prime minister here, or our ruling party, that there's an outbreak of COVID-19 in July of 2019. Or not COVID-19, some weird flu coming out of Wuhan. Way back in July of 2019. And China did a good job covering it up till then,
Well, yeah, they did, to cover up that large of a city, and not kind of, and, they paid, what do you call it, that agency, international agency that, say, hey, everything we got it under control. It's not a pandemic, and, of course, down the, a couple months, and they're saying, hey, it is a pandemic, and it's just, it's, they've been, that's the thing.
We got Sean Liemerman in the comments saying Spain is saying they had it since last summer. Yeah.
Wow.
They're not lying. They're not lying. A lot of us were really sick, Tino. I had crushed glass lungs. I was in bed for 2 weeks. And I honestly, I'm going to tell you something. I don't even think I told you guys this. I actually made my will.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I paid like $1,000 with the wife, and we got our wills done. I thought I was going to die from this. I was so like off, and then my wife got it, my mom got it, all my kids got it. Then we all had it twice. It wasn't the first time we had it. It was the second time 2 weeks later we had it. Was even worse.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you had it, what they told you that you had?
Well, when I went to the emergency, they told me that it was just a bad flu.
Yeah. But they didn't tell you what kind of flu it was, though, right?
Well, because no one was talking about this until the third week of January. And we had it in December.
See, this and like I said, it happened. I got sick, really sick, and when they told me, and that was I want to say, like, I want to say it happened twice. One in October and probably one in December, and it was like when I went to the doctor, the primary care, and they said, well, it seems like you have a flu symptoms, but they consider it like a known virus. That's what they told me. Mm-hmm. Whatever you're seeing, it seems like you're kind of getting over it, the hump of it. Just continue drinking, of course,
bastante agua.
Todo Gatorade, and but yeah, no, I mean, from my experience, when I had it, man, I had a head cold, and my body was pretty much on fire,
Yeah.
So I was like, just like feeling miserable, and yeah, just.
You couldn't operate a vehicle when you were sick with this. You could not operate a vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I checked my temperature, and of course my head's like, hey, it's normal, but like rest of my body was just burning up, and I was like over 100. Mm-hmm. And it's just, but yeah, no, I mean, it's a possibility, and it probably is that it might have been way before that, they said when it initially came out. But I think it's been around the United States, and I think, and that's what happens. I think it's starting to, as it spreads out more people are getting sick to it, and the problem is that the United States, we were just not prepared for it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. All the hospitals were inadequate to be ready for this kind of having more people coming in sick.
Because the hospital in my town was overflowing in December before any of this even happened. Mm-hmm. And the schools were pretty much all shut down because no kids were going to school because they were all homesick.
Oh wow! Yeah, no, I didn't do that.
Wasn't Tino. I'm being serious with you. And then now they want to wipe this December out like it never happened. And then now going forward, now you could get this. No, we had this, and that's why I go out. I'm out and about. I take my family out. I ain't worried because we went through the worst of this already.
Now, but do you think you will get reinfected?
I already did. I got it twice. I got it once. And then
it don't matter.
2 weeks later, I got it again, and it was worse. 3
or 4 times, Do you think it's that contagious that you'll get sick again, though?
But my body, I think, has created some sort of immunities towards, or created more defense to it, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I mean, that's from what they're saying is like they're saying there's still no clear fact that it's if your body hasn't gotten immune to it or has built defense up on it,
well, it obviously had to because I'm still here talking to you, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know. I mean, I hope you stay. I hope you stay healthy. That's the best thing,
Wait. Déjame preguntarte algo importante. Let me ask you something very important here.
Yeah.
Are you taking the virus? No, are you taking the vaccine? Sorry.
I was gonna take the virus, man. No. The vaccine, no. No tenemos ahorita el vaccine. We don't have a vaccine. At least till that it's being, how do you call it? They were talking about distribution. They even had tests where people were testing in Seattle, mm-hmm. that they had to see how the vaccine will react and stuff like that. To my knowledge, it's always kind of with vaccinations is they don't get it right the first try.
No,
So
more people died of the Spanish flu from the vaccine than they did from the flu.
Yeah, and it's just that nowadays the technology has gotten better, but it's still high risk.
Yeah, technology's gotten better, Tino, but we're becoming more and more dumb.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Our bodies, like I said, it's something where, like you said, your body gets, if it gets, how do you call it, immunity out of it, it survives from those,
and gets stronger.
And that's the only thing that you could probably do, and it's probably best.
You know what, Tino? You know how I built a strong immunity at a really young age? I lived in Mexico for 2 years, right? And when I was in my apartment, I brushed my teeth every morning, right? And people, my friends came over and they're like, I'm like, hold on, guys, I'm still brushing my teeth, and I'm using the tap water. And they're like, holy, you're using the tap water to brush your teeth? I'm like, yeah, I'm spitting it out. They're like, you're not supposed to do that. In Mexico, right? But then I got really sick, but then I got over it. And then for some reason, I never got sick again for like almost a decade.
Yeah. No. El agua especial, man.
Yeah, I didn't know you couldn't brush your teeth with the water. I thought because you're spitting it out, right?
Yeah, no. I used to do that too while I was down there. When I used to live there for, like I said, I lived there for a good 4 to 5 years. And but yeah, we always learn, it's like, hey, don't drink the water.
Right, but the thing is, I never, after I got sick from that for 2 days. After that, I just never got sick.
Yeah. And it varies in people too. Some people just don't have strong, genes, and that's just, you're more prone to get flus or whatever, or get sick. And like for me, I was never really, how do you call it? I guess live up north. Because when I used to be little, I used to get ear infections all the time. And when we moved south, nothing. I'm going to get no ear infections. Now that I moved up here again, I don't get ear infections, but I kind of feel that. Like it kind of wants to get infected for whatever reason. It's something within the body that, that reacts either through the atmosphere or whatever, that it's not has a strong immunity or defense of,
Defense, yeah. All right, Tino.
But
I'm gonna let you go, buddy. I wanted to call you and wish you a happy 4 de Julio.
Oh yeah, man. We set up some fireworks and blowing up a little piece of America.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do, man. It's pretty late here. I do have some fireworks. Maybe make some noise. They're still celebrating here in Canada.
How are you gonna celebrate 4th of July, man? This is us kicking out the king and the nuts,
Yeah. Hey, go back to the beginning of the show and see that article I was reading on Zero Hedge. Was the British monarchy was the Constitution and all that stuff built off a lie?
Yeah.
Read that. Watch the beginning of the show. And
I gotta check it out then.
Yeah, please.
I'll let everybody know.
Okay,
you have a
adios,
good
amigo.
July, and good talking to you. All right.
Yeah. God bless you, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Bye. That is Teno out of Seattle, guys. I want to get to some news real quick because I really want to show you guys something. This one here. We covered was the American Revolution a mistake? And then there was one here. We covered this earlier. Young Americans totally ignorant of what 4th of July represents. And a will to overthrow the United States. Do we have the desire and the courage to preserve our civilization in the face of those who won't subvert to destroy it? Cuba-geddon. Amid COVID crisis, Havana tells citizens to grow their own food or starve. That's what's been happening, even in Portugal. They've been telling people to grow their own food. And watch protesters pull down Christopher Columbus' statue in Baltimore and dump it in the harbor. Oh, what a victory. Oh, you dump down a defenseless statue that's been probably sitting there for I don't know how many years, and you're cheering that you've just abolished the Federal Reserve or something, or You abolish something that's actually going to save your country from being taken over from inside. Here it is. Here it is. This is the article I want to talk to you guys about. Michigan passes controversial bill to microchip humans voluntarily to protect their privacy. How are you? It's like the state putting in surveillance cameras in your house to help protect you and your privacy. Let me just use some soundboard here. I got to put some soundboard.
The greatest president that God ever created.
Hold on.
China. I fully understand.
Could somebody so Michigan passes controversial bill to microchip humans voluntarily to protect their privacy. Okay, state or the power of the state or the state rules or the law. Can you please go ahead and put cameras in my home to protect me and to create private? Like, holy crap. Yeah, I kind of wanted to throw this out there. I wanted to get to this article before the show was over. Let's see if Supreme Canada could come on. I haven't talked to Supreme Canada in a long time. It's been like 2 weeks or a week and a half. I know he's been busy, but let's see if he picks up the phone.
Mike,
Yo.
How's it going?
Good. You doing okay, buddy?
I'm all right. Yeah, we got a little frog in my throat. No problem.
Good. I know you've been busy. You're back to work. You're back on your feet again, and work-wise, and everything seems to be moving fast, eh?
Yeah. It's been a hustle the last couple of weeks. It's good though. It's nice to be doing something again.
All right, let's break this down in 10-minute parts. Okay, I want your feedback on young Americans totally ignorant of what 4th of July represents, and all they demand is all they say and they're adamant about is the country is racist. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's nothing new there, isn't it? I mean, we've been listening to this stuff for years. We've been rolling our eyes about the attitudes of the youth since, well, not long after we were youth ourselves. They want to feel important and meaningful, and life has been a little bit too easy for them.
So, how did are Americans becoming less and less patriotic as they're going through the schooling system?
I think it's something that I think it's a phase. I think, and the thing about phases is you don't realize it's a phase until you're out of it, right? Hey, Kev. Hey, Aquarius. Good to see you guys tonight. I think they'll get through it. The big thing is it's the old saying that anybody who's not a liberal before 30 has no heart, and anyone who's a liberal after 30 has no brain. It's the same kind of idea. You get a little real world experience, and you start to appreciate this organized civilization that you live in. No, it's not perfect, and it never will be. It can't be. It's just as simple as that. When you say young Americans, it's hard to say, like, who are they talking about? Are they talking about young white college kids? Right?
Well, it looks like they're talking to a bunch of college kids here. They're not. They look like they're in their late teens. They don't look young.
Yeah, right. Well, it's if you throw back to 1968, what did you have then? You had young protesters talking about how we're going to stick it to the man, and we need revolution, and we're going to overthrow everything. Collectivism. It's like 1968 all over again.
Mm-hmm. But it's 1968 with no cause and with no consequence, or
well, yeah, there's no cause. It's like, no, it's just, this is wrong, this is racist. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean? You mean white supremacy? Well, no, not really. Ask the Irish about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny. Earlier they were talking about slavery when Irish immigrants were considered a lot more expendable than African slaves because
they were coming off the boat. They were handed a rifle and go fight for your country. Yeah,
basically, yeah. That's part of the reason they let them swarm in, is because they needed bodies to stop Confederate bullets, right?
Right.
I mean, it was still a WASP culture. They weren't really happy to have all these Irish Catholics there. And that was also part of the reason why you had that constant enmity between the North and South, because the North was like the Puritans, the English, and the South was all the Scots and Irish and Welsh who didn't want to live with them, basically. So it was kind of like the English Civil War 2.0 in a lot of ways, the U.S. Civil War.
Yeah, you could actually put it. Okay, next part. A will to overthrow the United States. Do we have a desire and the courage to preserve our civilization in the face of those who would subvert and destroy it? So what kind of continuity of government are we looking at if these people decide to overthrow or the existing governance? What kind of continuity of government would these people put in place? Do they have a plan? What's the deal here?
I don't think there's any way they're going to overthrow the United States government by toppling statues. And most of the cities that they're burning are Democrat cities anyway. Mm-hmm. That's a good reason not to intervene, for Washington not to intervene. Because, like Napoleon said, don't interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Jenny Durkan in Seattle finally intervened to close down the Chad's Chop little enclave there, realizing it wasn't the summer of love because they were starting to show up in her neighborhood, and she was receiving death threats from them because all these people are doing so far is screaming death threats at everyone. Mm-hmm. They don't seem to have any kind of plan of their own. So I don't think the United States itself is in danger of being overthrown by these people. I don't really think it's that dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's dangerous for people living in those cities, obviously. And the U.S. obviously has a lot of internal problems, and it has a lot of external problems and financial problems, as we're well aware of. It's not paradise by any means. But no, these people are going to harden. They're only going to harden the attitude of everyone watching them on television. Mm-hmm. They're not going to change anything that way. Most of the demands of the 68ers were met. Right? I mean, you had the sexual revolution. You had I guess it would be called second wave feminism, right? You had the Great Society, this massive welfare state. This was already all happening. Hold
on. You forgot this one. Gorbachev, take down that wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was in 87 or 88, I think, when Reagan said that, in Berlin, right. And it was a good time to do that because the Soviet Union was teetering on the brink anyway, and Gorbachev had become chairman of the Communist Party because on a reform platform, the old guard had finally taken the hint and died, so that a younger generation could come in and try to fix things. But he was still a committed communist, obviously, and it's not a matter of, okay, maybe we need to try something else. It was like, okay, how do we make communism work this time? I think most people in the Soviet Union were beyond tired of that discussion, and they wanted it gone. So these people that are protesting and complaining, for the most part, they're bored, I think.
Okay.
I just think they're bored college kids.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. What does Cuba know that we don't? Cubageddon. Amid COVID, Havana tells citizens to grow your own food or starve. It's great more people are planting, but it cannot just be when it is in a crisis. So what does Cuba know that we do? Are we going to enter a food shortage? What do you think?
Well, I think the Cuban example would the problem with collective farming is like collective anything. It requires a bunch of people yeah, that's right, John. Everyone calmed down in '69. They just decided, I'm just going to smoke some dope and make a sign, and congratulate myself later for stopping the war. That's about all that amounted to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where Cuba's concerned, I mean, it's.
Well, do they know something?
It's an economic disaster.
I mean, there's always higher ups that have an ear to the ground somewhere, somehow. Maybe are we going to see a food shortage in the second part of this year?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll be a shortage per se. There might be inflation. Mm-hmm. You might pay more to get food, but I don't believe that will run out. I don't think that's going to happen. As long as the U.S. dollar is supreme, certainly the U.S. isn't going to go hungry. And frankly, as I've said before, there's a lot of people in the U.S., frankly, a couple of months of maybe cutting back on the calories would actually do them a lot of good. We're a while away from mass starvation. I'm pretty sure about that.
All right, bombshell question.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Sure.
Was the American Revolution a mistake?
It was a Masonic plot.
Because apparently
that's
the
my take
taxation
on it.
in colonial America was like 1% of annual taxes.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was as terrible as it was made out. It's just that there was some friction. I think in some ways it was agitation, right? There had been, of course, shots fired, the Boston Massacre, as it were.
Yes.
There was an uprising on the streets, and there was no. There were no cops in Kevlar. It was the redcoats that went out to ensure order, and they opened fire on the crowd. And I believe it was because they were attacked or they were being threatened with being attacked. And they were. I mean, the King of England was the sovereign of the 13 colonies. It's. I mean, people forget that the American Revolution wasn't like the only war that had happened in that century on the American continent. There was also the French and Indian War, right? And the French, of course, they had an empire of their own that they were fighting the British over in the New World, and Britain had expended an enormous amount of money fighting that war and maintaining a fleet so that trade can continue from the 13 colonies. And of course, the French committed troops and money or whatever to help the revolutionaries once it got going. I believe that Cornwallis actually didn't surrender to General Washington because he had a pretty low opinion of the man. I think he actually surrendered to the French general that was there.
Yes.
He wasn't going to surrender to these, rebels, as it were.
Right, because they were committing high treason by creating the Declaration of Independence and basically severing their grip from the British monarchy. So the second part is, was the Declaration of Independence built upon a lie? The colonists had a sweet deal in 1775. Great Britain was the second freest nation on earth. Switzerland was probably the most free nation, but I would be hard-pressed to identify any other nation in 1775 that was ahead of Great Britain, and in the Great Britain's empire, the colonists were by far the freest. I would say it loud and clear, the freest society on earth in 1775 was the British North America, with the obvious expectation of the slave system. Anyone who was not a slave had incomparable freedom.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Liberty was a big thing. Liberty was part of the reason why, and it was mostly religious liberty. Obviously, it was the opportunity to go and make money too. But the original Jamestown colony and all of the other colonies that were set up were Puritans that were escaping persecution in England.
That's right.
And then other groups like the Huguenots in France, Protestant Frenchmen who finally got tired of being threatened with death and left. And most of them went to the south. They went to Louisiana and places like that. But, French colonies, obviously, at that time. Well, obviously, there was, it was the Wild West, literally. There was no overarching police state. The only standing army you had was a few regiments of British troops and whatever militia or auxiliary units that they had operating in the New World. Yeah, they weren't snooping on you.
No, they weren't.
They weren't bothering you in any great way. Taxes were low for the most part because being a monarchy, taxes had to be low because a monarchy is a family business. You want the people under your subject to you to be happy, so that they don't kill you, right? So taxes were usually severely limited anyway. And most people earned their living literally by the sweat of their brow, going out and swinging an axe or pulling a plow every day. And they weren't really happy about parting with a whole lot more than 10% at most. No, they wanted an extra tax, a T-tax or a stamp tax or something to try to offset the money that they had already spent trying to protect the colonies.
Mm-hmm. There was no British tyranny, and surely not in North America. Only after price control laws were repealed in 1778 could the army buy food again. But the hyperinflation of the Continentals and the state-issued currencies replaced the pre-revolution system of silver currency, Spanish pieces of 8. Do you remember that? Spanish pieces of 8?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Yeah, that's why a quarter is 2 bits. It's a quarter of a Spanish dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, in 1872, Frederick Engels wrote on an article on authority. He criticized anarchists, whom he called anti-authoritarians. His description of the authoritarian character of all armed revolutions should remind us of the costs of the revolution.
Yes, yeah, he has a point there. The thing about the American Revolution and most revolutions is, the revolutionaries. It's what you're seeing now, in a way, in a slightly more benign way, happening in America right now.
Well,
with all of
now
these,
it's more Mickey
all these
Mouse.
uprisings. It's more Mickey Mouse. Yeah, it's using Mickey Mouse people as proxies, as muscle to go out and break things, right? And the idea is it's to enforce the speech code that political correctness has attempted to enforce, to cow people from speaking out, right? It's to attempt to maintain the order that the elites have been attempting to impose for quite a while. Any pushback against it, well, then their financiers pay for them to go and push back against the pushback. Mm-hmm. And say this is a racist country, and and there's white supremacy, and there's class warfare, and collectivism, and all of these things. And if you say anything about it, well, then they deplatform you. And it's not just obviously Antifa or BLM. It's Facebook, YouTube, Google, right?
Okay.
Lots of it.
Watch protesters pull down Christopher Columbus statue in Baltimore and dump it in the harbor. Now, what military or what economic virtue did these protesters get from this?
I think they're just...
because a lot of them are cheering and they have no idea what... I mean, they're cheering like they abolished the Federal Reserve, or they're cheering like the second, like something big happened in favor of them. They just took down a historical statue and throw it in a harbor, and they're acting like their favorite soccer team just won the World Cup. It doesn't make any sense. What did they gain from this?
Well, yeah, taking down the Federal Reserve would actually be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think people would be cheering about that. They would probably be crying about that.
Yeah, so if they think that this is more important than something like that, well, they're highly misinformed, okay, or not informed at all. No, it's just destruction. It's destruction. They were taking down statues of, it was like the whole Aunt Jemima thing. Like, Aunt Jemima was a successful woman. Mm-hmm. She should have been an example for the African American community. Instead, she's been erased from history. Like they're just sawing off the branch they're sitting on. Christopher Columbus, if people think about him at all, it's really only a matter of, he was the guy who supposedly discovered America. The first place he found it turned out to be Cuba. He thought he'd found China, but it was actually Cuba. He didn't know. Nobody knew. Hispaniola. That's right. Yeah, where Haiti and the Dominican Republic are now. Yeah, he was in that zone first, and of course he made several trips, and naturally there were other explorers too, mm-hmm. who continued to expand European knowledge of this new continent. But again, I mean, he's fairly neutral to this. He didn't found America, right? It had nothing to do with the founding of America. He didn't found anything in South America, for mm-hmm. that matter, right?
The Portuguese were already there.
The Portuguese were already there. That's right. The Portuguese were.
And a lot of people don't know that Terra Nova, Nova Scotia, Terra Nova, Newfoundland, Terra Nova is actually a city in Newfoundland discovered by Louis Labrador.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. There's a statue erected to him of the Portuguese colonists that came like in 1440 or something. They keep changing the year on it too, on the statue. You could tell they keep changing the year on that because it conflicts with the history that we have.
Oh yeah, of course. and that's the thing. And when they're talking about the narrative, you're tearing down the statue of Columbus. Was Columbus the first guy to discover America? No. I mean, the Vikings were
The
there at one
Vikings were
point.
way before the
The
Norsemen.
Vikings were way before, yeah, half a millennium before, right? And yeah, the Portuguese.
The Portuguese were the first to map everything.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
mapped
they had
Australia. Oh, Mike, the Dutch did. No, the Portuguese were mapping Australia. They mapped Australia, and they spent 300 years or 280 years longer than any other European superpower in Asia.
Yeah,
They brought
Yeah,
gunpowder
yeah.
to Japan. A lot of stuff they did, and they brought Christianity, and that tore up the country in half. But anyways, last but not least question: are you ready for this?
sure.
Michigan passes controversial bill to microchip humans voluntarily to protect their privacy. It's like putting a state-run surveillance camera in your own house.
Okay. So we're going to microchip you to protect your privacy. I mentioned in the comments, that's called doublethink, right? That's cognitive dissonance. How is this going to protect your privacy? I think the idea is, well, if you take the chip, then you don't have to carry ID badges, time cards, usernames, passwords, all these things we're talking about here. Arguably, you wouldn't have to carry, like if you could use biometric verification to log into accounts instead of having passwords and things like that. Right? I mean, the only way I could see you could twist this into protecting your privacy is it means from this point on, you don't have to memorize any pesky passwords, and you don't have to carry any kind of identity documents on you at all. All you have to do is wave your hand over a scanner, and there you are. That's the only way that I could see it. Not having read the bill or this entire article, my guesses would be that would be the rationalization. I'm still not interested in it. As far as I'm concerned, we need too much documentation as it is. We should need less. I want less supervision, not more.
Yeah, we want less government to tell us what food to eat, where to shop, what to. I want people to be able to criticize. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm on YouTube, and YouTube's keeping me in shape. And the reason why YouTube's keeping me in shape is because people criticize me on some of my videos and call me a tubblard. And I'm not gonna hate them for telling me the truth. And if I'm a tubblard, then I get criticized. Then I look at myself, and then I redirect my energy into doing something better for myself. They're right.
Sure.
But when
Absolutely.
you stop criticizing people, you're going to see the obese. Back in the day, we'd be sitting outside talking, maybe smoking a cigarette, just talking about this and that. And then some guy would cross the street, and we'd be like, oh, man, look at that tubblard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nowadays, you can't say that. You can't criticize people. Because sometimes when you criticize people, you put them in line. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if people criticize me for being overweight, or if they criticize me for being, if there was something that they were criticizing me about that I could change or that was specific and made sense, you could take it as constructive criticism, or you could take it as, constructive criticism. Your own frame of reference, you could take it as anything. I mean, if someone says you're a tubblard and you lose 50 pounds, and then you can come back and say, how you like me now, bitches?
Yeah,
but
that's a good thing, isn't it? Now that nobody can criticize anyone, you're going to see all these fat people everywhere. And not just that, you're going to see people going into these unhealthy, I think it's just messing with people's futures in a way, because if people don't get put in place once in a while, I think there's going to be recourse to that later on in their lives. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's a difference between saying someone is overweight, or tubblard or something like that, or saying, I really hate to see you get diabetes because you don't change your ways. Right, calling someone an idiot or telling them that they're ugly or something like that. It's kind of like, no, you're not trying to be helpful. It's the old principle of speaking the truth in love.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saying, buddy, someone needs to say this to you, and I guess it's got to be me. But if you don't lose 50 pounds, you're going to be dead in 10 years, and I don't want to see that happen to you, man.
Yeah,
do something about it. You'll have a better life. You'll feel better. You look better. Everything about your life will change. Keep going the way you are, and man, you got 10 years to go.
Yeah,
Got it. And lots of people in that situation, their doctor will tell them that, right? But the magazines and the TV shows and the commentators say you're beautiful no matter what size you are. Well, that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's not true. For every one like that, there's somebody with a new Instagram account showing off their 50-pound weight loss, and oh my God, you look amazing, right? Kind of a thing. Right? Oh my God, you look amazing, right? And it's kind of like, well, yeah. So what's the message? The message is do something about it. That's true, Sean. Tell people what to do; they'll resist even more. It's like but that still could be taken with your own frame of reference as constructive criticism. What about someone that calls you a racist? What do you say to that?
I say nothing. I get more offended if someone calls me a toaster or a towel.
Yeah, but if they specifically call you a racist, it's kind of like, all right, well, you're just reciting whatever talking points you got from whatever college class you were taking, obviously. But the only possible response to that is, you're an idiot. Why would you say something that's stupid? Like we're long past the point where denying and saying, I am not, because all you have to do to shut down a political opponent is say he's a racist. And what happens? I'm not a racist. And they start trotting out their, people of color friends, and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other thing. It's like, no, just say you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
This is childish. This is kindergarten stuff. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm a typewriter. That's right. You're a typewriter, Craig. Yeah. What do you say to that?
Craig, how's your hand, buddy? I know Craig hurt his hand at work a few days ago driving his truck, so I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah, Sean pointed something. People flipped out when Adele lost weight. That singer, Adele, Mike?
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, no idea.
I don't follow entertainment stuff.
Yeah, she's not so much a one-hit wonder, but about 10 years ago, she had a few songs come out, and she was a bit of a big girl. She was a little bit circumferential, right? But over the last few years, especially after she turned about 30, she lost a bunch of weight, and she's going out showing off and getting pictures, of course, and at public gatherings and celebrity events and things like that, and people raving about how she gets. Well, she's got a whole fan base that feels completely betrayed. Because they thought, oh, she lost weight. That's right. Because here's this woman who's, we identified with. Because we're all circumferential people too, and equatorial body type, and now she's betrayed us. She's abandoned us. And they hate her because she lost a bunch of weight. Yeah, that's right. Because they said, okay, here's this woman who is, famous and wealthy and successful, and she's not a size 0.
Uh-huh.
Right, kind of a thing. So it's not, and the fact is, she's very talented. I mean, that kind of thing shouldn't have kept her from being successful because she's a very talented performer. No question about it. But, we also live in a superficial age, and the truth is that human beings by nature are superficial. There are ancient biological cues that the genders look for in the other gender, particularly. And they used to police themselves. Like if you were a man and you were overweight, or if you were too weak or something like that, you couldn't beat somebody in an arm wrestle, right? The idea that you were a coward or that you were weak, what would you do? You'd be doing road work, man. You'd be getting out the speed bag. You'd be leveling up a little bit, right? Because your people give you some tough love. Well, it was the same with women. It was the same kind of thing, but it was a team thing, right? It wasn't to be catty. It was like, if you're going to have a better life and roll with the people you want to roll with, well, then you kind of got to be like us. Mm-hmm. And most of media nowadays is like, okay, well, we're the people you got to roll with, and they're all tatted up, freaks. They're just strange people, but it's that falls to that manufactured consent. I saw that phrase earlier in the comments too. They're trying to manufacture consent where everybody just does whatever the hell they want. Yeah, it's called being fluffy. Yeah. That's right. It's being fluffy. You're a little bit fluffy, and a little fluff is fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. Most people
Supreme,
are not.
We're approaching
fuzzy.
our third hour, and I'm slowly falling asleep here.
Yeah, I came in late, but I didn't want to miss this one. I missed all of last week, so
it's
good
buddy.
to talk.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Everyone's got things to do. I mean, your dedication's good. Your information is always good. There's always somebody getting help somewhere. Along the line when we talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope I speak some life to somebody. Speak a little health to some people. I need a little myself. I'm turning 55 on Monday.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah.
have you on Facebook, so I don't know what anyone's birthdays are without Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So good wishes are appreciated, people, but prayers are appreciated even more. I was, my mantra was always, I can't drive 55. Well, here I am. I'm about to be driving 55 for a whole year, man. It's going to be
congratulations on
interesting.
reaching 55. Congratulations, and happy birthday and
Thank
all
you.
that. And
Well,
yeah,
thank
we'll
you
talk
very
to
much,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you maybe during the week when you get some time. Maybe come down and see me if the weather's good next week.
I'd love to. If we get a slow day in the yard, I'll jump in the car and come see you.
I'm there
would,
Tuesday,
I'd
Wednesday,
very
Thursday, Friday, Saturday now.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, Supreme, you take care. God bless you.
Yeah, God bless. Talk soon, everyone. Bye for
All
now.
right, good night. It's always good to have Supreme Canon on the show to wind it down and wind down the show from time to time to help us out. Yeah, I started out really bad. I ended up breaking my light bulb here for my green screen. That gives me clarity here on this side of the, I ended up breaking that down, and I had a really bad start to the show, and then we ended up picking it up and getting into so many good callers and making the show what it is and making it a great place to come and be together. Guys, please don't forget to set your reminders to the shows right here. Here it is, guys. Next week, Mike in the Night, you run for cover so discreet. Wonder what that's about. And then Mike in the Night, keep track of the visions in my eyes. And then the week after that, on the 25th of July, we'll have Mike in the Night, all along I was never in doubt. And last but not least, for, I think that's August 1st, 2020, Mike in the Night shall lay you on the throne. So yes, don't forget to set your reminders for these shows, and don't forget to, I'm going to run a 24-hour Mike in the Night thing just going in the background, guys, all week long. Or a couple of days in a row. I'm just going to be playing back shows, just getting it, streaming it right through. Like having it in the background right through. I think that's what I'm going to do, guys. I actually think that's what I'm going to do. I'm losing subscribers. I'm in negative territory right now. The channel's not doing well. It is headed for a nosedive. But you know what? I don't let it get to me. I don't care. You know why? Because we're here. Who is we? Tig Nim, Crazy Shredder, Sean Lieberman, Layla, Steven Sewell, Lord Humungus, Supreme Canon, Living the Dream, Red Pill Gary, Mitch Madden, I think I said him, Sean we said already, Tignim we said already, Blunt News, Axel Rose, Low Roller Scratcher, Lupa, we got, who else do we got here? Craig Cook, Aquarius, Matthew Elul. It's because you guys are here. It's because of you guys. Like I said, we are that Cessna airplane that's heading towards the Florida, undisclosed Florida airstrip as we're below radar, heading towards our destination. We're below radar and we're high enough not to hit any obstacles on the ground. That's who we are here on Mike in the Night. Oh, yeah.
Gemini King, Mike in the Night, and the Gemini crew. Ooh. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another turn, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
You're here with us tonight, folks.
Everything's alright when you're here with Mike in the night. Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Giving the world light when you're here with Mike in the night.
Oh, don't you know it?
Mike into the night, you're here with Mike in the night.
People of the night.
Sometimes things are just absurd, so let's just talk about the world, 'cause you're here with us tonight. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Mike it through the night, you're here with Mike in the night. Let's just talk about the world, give this page another curl, 'cause you're here with us tonight.
Everybody out there, take care. And if you can't take care,